Hello and welcome to another episode of The Grindbin. I'm Mike Wood.
I'm Chris Hughes.
And I'm Michael Tanner.
And today we're going to be talking about 1972's Unholy Rollers.
You skate like a bunch of paraplegics.
Hey, Bobby, I got the money.
Yeah, I made the team. But you're a hooker.
Get that goddamn thing out of your mouth.
Spooky ain't got no real coach.
Hello, pizza man.
We're gonna play a little game, baby.
I just love fun and games. Get a little girl a little hot and horny.
You could have repeated it once in a while. And maybe Daddy would have had to kill himself because he couldn't get it up anymore.
What a shame.
Come on, just step on the gas before we get creepy.
So Michael, you're back on The Grindbin. Everybody that listens to this show will remember you from The Thing with Two Heads.
Which was a great episode, and I won't say it was just because I was there.
He comes on the show and says it was a great episode. It was an enjoyable episode. I've gotten a lot of good comments about it.
Well, that's something I would say, but I mean, you never tell me I
Definitely.
do a good job.
Well, actually, you know how I always said that somebody came into the show and said that they liked the Dolomite episode? It was Michael.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite episodes.
Good taste. Good taste. Thank you, sir.
Hey, it was a real challenge to get Hughes on this show. For a long time, he resisted it, and then finally, now he's here every week. So he really loves it.
Yeah, this destination podcast that we have this weekend.
What made you so hesitant to be on the show so much?
Watching all these movies.
Well, we need somebody who doesn't like them.
I'm a person that's outside of this like cult of cult films. I don't watch any of these for fun. I don't get pleasure out of any of it.
I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
But you do like Dolomite and Human Tornado and certain movies, so...
Yeah, but I don't think I'd ever watch them on my own.
No.
You never choose to do this.
No.
Not a huge choose, if you will. Yeah, no, you just bring us movies like Bugsy's Girls, so thanks for nothing, Hughes.
Deezen.
Oh, God.
I'm going to get another Deezen film.
There will never be a December on this show. Never. So, guys, for this movie, we have an American International Pictures release. Welcome back to The Grindbin. I think they've now beaten Crown in being the most prolific distributor on this show.
Was this American International? I think I got Orion.
It starts with an Orion logo for the DVD, and then it does the American
That
International.
beautiful AIP in the clouds logo comes up, and you're in shaky hands, really.
You're in for a real treat.
This was a Roger Corman production, rushed into production, believe it or not, after the success of another roller derby movie, which had Raquel Welch, the Kansas City Bomber. So basically, Roger Corman would rip off a ton of movies. He was like the real rip-off king because he, would make like his Jaws movie, Orca, or any other movie to capitalize, like all the Star Wars movies he would make. So this is one of them. It was like, roller derby is popular. Let's just write a script in a week and get it out there, huh? We don't even need to have an ending. Just kind of film some stuff and get 3 locations. We're good to go. Hire Claudia Jennings. You got yourself a movie. So let's get into the crew, guys. The director, he has story credit and director of this movie is Vernon Zimmerman. This was his first movie he ever directed and the first he wrote. So basically plucked from obscurity by Roger Corman. It was like, you seem like a director. And he's like, yeah, sure, thanks, sir. He only has 8 writing credits and 7 directing credits. 1980, he wrote and directed a movie called Fade to Black, which is a cult horror movie. And the last credit I have written down for him was that he wrote 1989's Teen Witch.
Which is another classic.
Which is I would never guess that the guy from Unholy Rollers was involved in Teen Witch.
He's a diverse talent, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say so. But the real one I have here, Howard R. Cohen, who's the other screenwriter of this movie. Now, this guy, I don't know if you guys looked into the background at all, but he has a varied background. Like, probably the most diverse up and down, like, from what he's doing. Because we're going to get into it, and it's quite shocking to me, actually, that he went from making movies like this to other things you would have never guessed. This was the first movie he ever wrote. And then 1973, a movie called The Young Nurses, which I'm sure you can guess what that's about. 1978, Vampire Hookers, which doesn't really need an explanation. I think we can all guess.
It's about young nurses.
Yeah, I think we can all guess what type of vampires we're dealing with there,
Ones who have sex for money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then he made 1981. Now, I've never heard of this movie, Saturday the 14th.
I have seen that movie so many times because it used to play on HBO. It's a parody comedy that sort of mixes all the horror movie tropes into one movie.
and he wrote and directed that movie.
It's solid work.
Then he made a movie in 1983 called Space Raiders, I've never heard of. He wrote and directed that. 1983, Death Stalker. 1985, Barbarian Queen.
I am familiar with those movies. Those are some solid 80s fantasy, low-budget movies.
And then get this, the same year, 1985, he went on to write Rainbow Bright and the Star Stealer.
Nice.
Then he went on
Saw
to
it
write
in the theater.
episodes of the Care Bears TV show and Rainbow Bright. So he went from like basically sexploitation movies into like B-movie, sci-fi movies into Rainbow Bright and Care Bears.
Childhood like fixtures.
So how do you follow that up, guys? You go from Care Bears right into 1987 Emmanuel 5.
Wait, which Emmanuel was that?
I'm not sure.
It was just Emmanuel, because sometimes they have Emmanuel in the desert.
It's just Emmanuel 5, which is it's a softcore porn series. So it was like he had to get that taste of children out of his mouth.
Whoa, heyo.
It went straight to like Skinamax movies. So that's an interesting. He's like, I've had enough of these Care Bears. Time for some sex, huh?
He follows the money.
I was going to say, with the director and the co-writer, Vernon Zimmerman?
Vernon Zimmerman.
Zimmerman. He is active in Los Angeles. He has a website, and he offers script consultation.
Interesting.
So budding screenwriters, he has his phone number on the website, so give him a call.
Oh, I will be giving him a call because that would be great to have him on this podcast to find out how many days did they give you to write this movie? Not how many weeks, not how many months, how many hours did you have to write Unholy Rollers? And was the script more than 20 pages is what I'm wondering, because it seems like we got a lot of filler in this movie.
Yeah, did he write all the one-liners in this movie?
I'm sure that's all it was a series of Post-it notes. And they're like, we got to fit this in somewhere. Otherwise, let's just kind of go around miniature golf for a little bit. You know, explore LA, wherever we can film illegally for 5 minutes and then move on. But the other writer, the other things he went on is he directed sequels to Saturday the 14th, which is called Saturday the 14th Strikes Back.
Oh, that might be the one I've seen, because I remember
He made
that
2 of
subtitle.
them.
Okay.
And then he did sequels also to Death Stalker and Barbarian Queen. Those had sequels as well. And then the last thing he made was 1992's Space Case, which he wrote and directed. And then he passed away in 99. He was only 56. So doesn't have a cause of death or anything, but pretty young. So guys, before we get into the cast, though, I have a real heavy hitter involved in this movie.
Oh, I do know who you mean now.
So he was the supervising editor of this movie is Martin Scorsese.
Really?
Yeah.
I've heard of him.
Martin Scorsese worked on this movie, which is, it's on his IMDb. I'm surprised he didn't, try and take his name off it at some point, but I think this is probably one of the only exploitation movies he's ever involved with.
Yeah, he probably worked for Corman. And
Yeah, what do they mean supervising editor? Because he was already kind of doing stuff in 72, so it's just like, did Corman just send him a copy? He's like, can you just, tell me if this looks okay?
he wanted Scorsese to do a pass on it. Just watch it and let me know if you have notes.
I'm sure he had a lot of notes for this movie.
He gets it back, and there's all this Raging Bull stuff in it, you know?
More black and white, more slow-mo.
There's a part where Claudia Jennings beats up a waitress, you know. I wouldn't be surprised. So we get to the cast, guys. It's just a fucking littered with Grindbin All-Stars. For one, Claudia Jennings, who plays Karen Walker, who, like you said, even though she had a name until about halfway through the movie when everybody starts calling her Karen. Because in my notes, I just call her Claudia, because we know her from Gator Bait. And I gotta say, big range between this and Gator Bait. In Gator Bait, she barely talks, and in this movie, she just kind of screams.
She screams and just is an asshole.
She's got monologue too in this movie, so she has a lot more range in this.
But in Gator Bait, she just had this Cajun accent and kind of just said a few things every now and then. But this is a much different role, so I'll give her credit. I mean,
she is definitely it's obviously you've talked about her before, is that she died really young, but she really had a strong screen presence, and I'm sad that we didn't get to see more.
I'd give her that. She definitely has screen presence, and like you said, she died. She died by, I guess, a car crash in Malibu. And towards the end of this movie, I'm like, oh no, this is a little too pathetic here. Then we get into another Grindbin All-Star, Lewis Quinn, Mr. Stern. He was the bad guy in Super Chick. The guy in the plane, and he's like, she's all, do you want an orange juice? He goes, only if it's from Florida. That guy. And also the guy, one of the most complicated, overly complicated schemes to launder money is in Super Chick. This is like episode 6, so probably a lot of people that listen to this podcast have never heard that episode. Go back and check it out, because that's a real hidden gem in the Crown catalog.
That was a good movie.
I do enjoy Super Chick. So did you notice the bad guy? Because I kept going like, wait, who the fuck is this guy? Like, I know him.
You have to realize by now I don't recognize anybody when I watch this. It's very, very rare that I do.
Until I tell you. Then we have Roberta Collins, who plays Jennifer in this movie. Grindbin All-Star from The Roommates. This was the next movie she made after that, which was weird because she was like almost a starring role in Roommates to like basically in this movie she just kind of hangs around. And
Yeah, which one is she in this movie?
she's the blonde lady.
Oh, she's the blonde villainess.
Yeah, she's the one. She just kind of shows up halfway through the movie, and they're like, "You're important," and she's like, "Oh yeah, I am. I'll push a lady over for you." And then this is a deep cut Grindbin All Star. I was watching this movie, and I'm like, I've seen that fucking pervert before.
Talking about Nick?
The doctor in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
John Harmon. All the way back to episode 2 of this podcast, Malibu High, he is the principal that she kills by having him have a heart attack. So, I was like, I've seen that wrinkly old dude somewhere before. Where have I seen him? Oh, the other movie where he was being a pervert. Actually, I think in that movie he wasn't a pervert, just Kim. Kim is a lot like Claudia
Karen.
in this movie, yeah. Kim and Karen. I could see that. Like, I could see Kim Bentley from Malibu High as a roller derby. Lady for sure. So Michael, you brought this movie to us. Now this was a movie I planned on covering, but why Unholy Rollers?
Well, as you may or may not remember, I was a roller derby referee for 8 years for the LA Derby Dolls. With the modern roller derby, that's where it's a legitimate sport. But there's kind of a upswing in kind of honoring and talking more about like the old school roller derby, which was for show and not a legitimate sport. And the fact that there were 2 movies during sort of its 70s heyday with Kansas City Bomber and then with this one, really wanted to talk about Unholy Rollers because it is the grittier, more fun version or movie, I guess.
Yeah, because I hear Kansas City Bomber. I've never seen it, but I hear it's like got much more drama.
Yeah, it's more of just a regular movie.
Here's a question I have. Roller derby now is like they actually go around and they hit each other and stuff.
Yeah.
Roller derby in this movie, and okay, so it's a little exaggerated because the world in which this movie exists is not true. There's no such thing as a millionaire roller derby-esque.
Oh yeah, like it's ridiculous. They were paid well in that kind of heyday, but not to the amount we see in this movie where she's buying a custom-made car.
Was there more than 2 teams?
Yes.
Okay. It was televised because there are people that write about it online and say, I love this movie as a kid because I loved watching LA roller derby. And like basically how there were like regional professional wrestling, especially in the South and stuff. There was regional roller derby here that was a big deal apparently. It was on TV. People would watch it.
Well, they said it existed for like 35 years from when the movie was filmed. So
yeah, that was a
the
comment
40s.
I was like, what?
Yeah, it started way back in the day when people didn't have anything better to do than to do like dance-a-thons. And then it kind of evolved into like skate-a-thons, which was just basically like NASCAR. It was just people skating around in a circle.
And then they got the roller boogie going on, and they gotta combine it with that.
People would kind of like trip each other and kind of push each other.
Somebody should make this a sport.
Exactly. A guy named Leo Seltzer decided like, hey, people get really excited when people knock each other down on the roller skates. And then someone was like, well, why don't you make a sport of it? And then he did.
Which is, in this movie, is just professional wrestling.
yeah, it's WWF.
It's the same rules and everything.
The parallels to like professional wrestling and professional roller derby are like from the get-go, like because they were both cheap to put on television. So that's why they were staples of early television. And then like there was a like shoot fighting legitimate sport, and then that's not necessarily that exciting to watch. So then it started to become, well, like what if we just kind of fudge it a little bit, and then fudging, and then became, well, let's just plan everything.
Because this is full-on professional wrestling. Like, if you don't know, in pro wrestling, you have the good guy called the babyface and the bad guy called the heel. You have the heel team. You have the babyface team. I mean, it's all the same stuff. There's even a fucking chair shot.
Yep.
Yeah. I was really impressed by
Really
that
good
part.
Really good announcers that are going on and giving the story through the movie.
Those exposition machine
This
announcers.
is definitely a case where they get the what the fuck? I can't understand any of this. We got to get some guys to talk over this. At one point, a girl's on another team. I don't even know what the hell's going on. So
Well, this just in, we got a telegram.
It's marked top secret, but I'm going to read it to you anyway.
And I was just like, yeah, definitely pro wrestling. And I forgot this about this movie, that it was like so high on like pro wrestling tropes. So it seemed like literally the same thing. Like, you know what's better than a ring? A roller rink. And then you just put some skates on them, bing, bang, boom. We're going around in circles, there's a little more action.
But when it was going on, did everybody know that it was predetermined and that kind of stuff? Because
You mean the audience?
Oh, no,
Like the
definitely
audience.
not. Definitely not this audience.
Thought, like, I think it was very similar to the pro wrestling thing where, like, a lot of the audience thought it was legit. There were some smart fans that kind of understood. But I think by the time the 70s really rolled around, like, this movie actually kind of came out during, like, the fall of 70s roller derby. Like, it was kind of started to peter out, but a lot of people kind of realized that it was a show.
Yeah, because like wrestling didn't actually acknowledge that they were a show until the 90s.
Yeah, until after the Montreal Screwjob.
Right.
If you listen to, there's a guy, Jim Cornette, that has a podcast. He'll tell a bunch of stories about old wrestling territories. There's like people would try to kill heel wrestlers, like they're like legit heat. Which in this movie, they're trying to rip people's arms off and shit. Like, get over to the side. Like, if you're on that San Diego team, fuck you. Which still didn't make any sense to me when they went to San Diego at that one point, and they're still the villains. It's like,
Yeah, you'd think they'd have.
they would switch
also
it.
interesting that it was the same exact people in the audience, like, for every single game.
oh yeah, you mean the one day they had to film here? They're like, we gotta film 12 hours worth of roller derby, so we gotta get going here. Okay, so before we get into it though, guys, why don't we take a listen to the trailer?
Banked track, the pack, the blockers, the jammer, and the screaming fans who love every minute of it. It's the action-packed sport of roller derby. This is Karen. The fans love her, but to her teammates, she's trouble.
They come to see the likes of me, not your little Beverly or any of the other broads. They come to see a star.
Follow her rise to Queen of the Ring in Unholy Rollers, a whirlwind tale of speed, sex,
Kiss me.
and stardom flying at you with crash-through impact. Featuring Betty Ann Reed,
They think they're gonna make that new kid a star overnight. They're gonna have to deal with me first.
Louis Quinn,
You stop selling tickets, you're dead.
and Playboy Playmate of the Year, Claudia Jennings.
Hey, are you a real doctor?
Unholy Rollers. A locker room look at the toughest broads in the world.
So you're saying, Michael, that because if you notice, that has a very modern voice on it. That's definitely not the original trailer. Is that maybe that was for another screen?
Yeah, I think I did some digging when I was looking for a real trailer, and I think that trailer was done by another league for when they did a screening of it as a fundraiser.
I'm pretty sure this movie probably maybe didn't even have a trailer. This was one where it was like, I mean, literally this movie was filmed and edited like probably within a month to capitalize on the other movie, Kansas City Bomber. They're like, get it in now.
Yeah, but I don't think I think Unholy Rollers like kind of set this movie up to a different tone than it actually was. I don't think it was a great title for the movie. I don't think there was anything unholy about it. There was a tattoo scene, I guess, was really controversial at the time, which would only be the
it's such a
satanic part.
good name, though, Unholy Rollers. It was definitely one that maybe they were thinking of before. Because, back in the day, they would make the poster before they'd make the movie. Right. Which, if you look at the poster for this movie, by the way, it doesn't really explain what's going on. There's also, look very closely, because it's kind of like a little hidden Disney thing, like, that priest with the boner and the Little Mermaid. On the poster for this movie, there's a part with a bed. There's a bed, and it has a dick as the headboard.
I did not notice that.
Yeah, look it up. It's Because I have somebody, she's a fan of the show, and she bought a Manhandlers poster, and she's going to buy an Unholy Rollers poster. And she noticed that, and I was like, oh, you know what? I never looked that closely.
It's funny. I used to always see a now Hughes is showing me the poster, and I'm looking. Oh yeah, that's a dick. That is a straight up wang.
Little subliminal advertising, like show 'em
there was
dick.
a poster vendor at the Long Beach flea market that had like a giant, probably like a lobby card poster of Unholy Rollers, but they wanted too much, and I'm not gonna.
You're like, yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, I'm like, I can take a picture on my
It's
phone.
like from the theater in North Dakota it was screening.
Yeah.
So, guys, we get into the movie, and boy, does this movie start strong, because basically we just watch an old man complain.
Yeah, he's all mumbly, and it's weird because it seems like he's alone in the arena.
This is like a running theme with these movies, is that a lot of times we start on the worst possible shot. Like, you're almost like, wait, is the movie started already? Like, have I walked in the middle of it? Which I don't know is intentional if you're showing a bunch of double features or something, but it's just like, you know what? Cut out that first 5 minutes and just put in a scene, and then people will be like, oh, fuck, I got to pay attention.
Yeah, maybe that's the whole thing. That it's a shock of starting from nothing, abruptly starting.
This is the worst start to a movie I think maybe I've ever seen. Like, it's horrible. As you see, like, a guy, it looks like he's alone, right? And he's sweeping. Like, I swear to God, we open, he's like,
he was a janitor.
He's got a fucking sweep, right? And there's a guy sleeping on a bench, and he's like, oh, this fucking thing I gotta clean up, and blah, blah, blah. And then he picks up a case, he puts it on the table, and he opens it, and it's next to a microphone. He has a record player, and he's complaining this whole time. He's like, oh, what they fucking make me do all this shit?
The boss is so cheap. Oh, I got this old Victrola.
And he's like, yeah, but this thing doesn't even work, and now I gotta clean it. And then we cut to find out that it's a full crowd. Like, so this is before the show. It's like, before the show, was everybody watching this asshole sweep and complain about it? And also, he's on the mic.
Yeah, they can actually hear him.
Like, everybody can hear this guy complaining. And then he starts this Victrola with the national anthem, and everybody's got to just stand it up, listening to it, and he's still complaining. And
the record's skipping.
It skips, so just replays, and that's the big opening joke for the movie.
The opening joke is that we watched an old man complain. It was actually part of the show?
No, just, I don't know, man.
No, it was just he just played it, and then like now we have everybody standing, and they're just waiting for it to end so they can start the game, and it's just repeating. It's on repeat.
And then people just like start laughing when the record gets fucked up, and then the old guy, I wrote, I think he just died because he just kind of stands there like, and then we just cut to the title.
Yeah, I thought somebody like jumped up, turned it off, and is the title before or after that lady gets up and screams? Kill the motherfuckers.
Kill the motherfuckers is the first line.
Yeah, that's the first line of the movie.
But I'm wondering, it's like, did Mr. Crown come in late to the screening or something? Because, I mean, like, what a terrible beginning to a movie. It's not a funny joke. No. It's just horrible. It's what the fuck am I watching? Then we get into the action. We see it should have just came up with the title.
Yeah.
So we see we're into the roller derby, right? The crowd is very into this.
They're participating.
They throw trash on the rink. They're screaming. They'll fucking grab somebody if they get close to the railing. I mean, I guess back in the day, it's like 1972. It's, roller derby rules. You just...
Derby rules. If you can grab them, you can grab them.
Like literally pulling limbs off of people, and they're like, fuck you. And I mean, men are beating up women. It's quite the crowd. Yeah, that's when they says, I'll kill you. Like, people in the crowd are saying, kill the motherfuckers, I'll kill you. Then they talk about getting points. Like, I guess, so these announcers come on. These guys that are basically going to tell you how the movie works.
The
because
exposition machines.
This movie was definitely made without them, and they're like, oh, shit. Nobody knows what the hell is going on. We got to add something in there. So they have these guys that we'll never see, by the way. You will never see the faces or who these announcers are or where they sit or anything. We just hear them over the movie, which definitely sounds like it was recorded way, way later.
And it's confusing because for some reason there's two of them, and for characters you never see, like, and they're never placed in the space of the movie, like, why have two of them?
And
like,
they
just
almost
have
the
guy.
same voice.
Yeah.
You have two guys with almost the same voice talking about, like, what's going... Like, this movie has so little plot that they have to tell you the exposition in voiceover over the action scenes.
I would argue that it has a lot of plot, that it fails to convey in any real, like, tangible way. You're like, oh, okay, I kind of get what the plot of this movie is, but the movie does everything in its power to undercut that.
But we'll get into is like, so we have a quote protagonist, but there's no real desire or problem she needs to solve or anything, really. She's the problem.
Well, then there's no lesson in this movie then.
Oh, there's no lessons learned at all. Nobody learns a goddamn thing. This is just like basically a descent into madness. Like she's worse than when she started off.
Yes.
Oh yeah, this is a movie about a crazy person. It's like Woody Allen's Blue Indigo with Kate Blanchett. It's just watching a crazy person get crazier.
I would say this is very, very close to Showgirls. Paul Verhoeven Showgirls. Very much so, because this is just the same character as Nomi in that movie. There's a Gina Gershon crystal in this movie. Like, it's the same type of setup and everything. And it's a slow descent, and no lessons are learned, and people beat each other up, and it's hard to relate to anybody, really.
Well, I thought this whole movie came down to one Hulk Hogan quote, and that was, you're working the work and you work yourself right into a shoot. That's this whole movie summed up. Because it's all predetermined, and then this lady starts going crazy like, yes, I'm actually great.
She doesn't think it's predetermined.
Yeah, she goes into business for herself.
Yeah.
Okay, we're hearing these radio announcers, but I say for what? Because at this point, I'm like, this is just some shithole that they've gotten a couple people in, right? Like, this isn't televised or something. No, apparently it's televised. Also, where are the TV cameras,
There is no TV cameras, but this is how they're going to set up the next scene. And if you don't listen, you're not going to understand what's going on.
Yeah, and at this point, by the way, so at this point, we don't know it's fake, that this is staged. Because the next thing I see is the opposing coach. So there's like a bad team and a good team, and the coach of the bad team is a guy, and he goes up and he starts kicking the shit out of a woman. I'm like, okay, so the movie's starting. We're seeing a guy beat a woman up,
and we find out he was a champion at one point of roller derby.
Okay, now I have another question. Is there a guy team?
I thought they were mixed.
During the 70s and through most of its history, it was mixed co-ed teams.
But we never see a point other than this bizarre masked pervert man that goes on the track every now and then, where men are skating with women.
No, don't we? There's definitely men on both teams.
There's a part where you see men in another team, like in a competition, but every time it's the women on the rink, it's only the women.
They might have done alternating jams of like, it's all the men, and then
like there's two shows or something.
Yeah, let's be honest, nobody wanted to see the men do this.
Well, not in this movie. No. What the fuck is this? A 2.5 hour cutout? No. Cut out all those men scenes. We don't need that. But sir, the whole plot's in there. No, stop. Come on now. People are coming to this movie to see Claudia, huh? They're not here to see what's his face, Nick. Evil Knievel, as I call him, with that fucking shirt.
Oh God,
we'll get to that.
Okay, so this is when the masked pervert comes up. So okay, during this, this is when you kind of start to realize that this is all fake, because there's apparently a man that's in spandex with a mask on and a cape, and he comes out and he's a masked pervert man that comes on the rink and tries to grab the women.
Yeah, I guess he's supposed to be the mascot for the Demons.
So we should say there's two teams, like the good team. So the babyface team is the Avengers. The
LA
bad
Avengers.
team, the heel team, is the San Diego
Demons.
Yeah, so they've pretty much set themselves up to be bad, naming the Demons. That's the only two teams you'll ever see.
They will make reference to another one, which is where Beverly came from.
Yeah, the Fresno team.
The Fresno team. But that's it. We'll only see two teams.
And at one point, a guy says this is going on for 35 years. I'm like, so they've just had the same two teams?
Even worse. Well, not worse than that, but they also state that this is their 7th consecutive game against each other. So so they've just been playing every day against the same team?
Well, the Demons' record is 0, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I don't think they've
they
ever
even say,
won.
the Avengers have won 6 in a row in the best of 7. I was like, don't you call it at that point?
Well, yeah, I think they won the tournament. So the pervert man, he comes onto the masked pervert comes onto the thing, and he takes a guy down or something. And this is where you see Claudia Jennings is in the crowd. So she's a big fan, or as you would say at wrestling, a mark for roller derby.
Oh,
she's a mark.
Yeah, she is big time into this. Then we cut immediately to a cat food factory.
Yeah.
And Claudia Jennings is working at a cat food factory. This is like the old, like, oh yeah, she's working at a factory.
She's a working class girl.
Because it's the only location we could get. I know a guy I know a guy who owns a cat food factory. He said we could go in at 2 a.m., film for 5 minutes. They'll shut down the machines, you know. He'll just say something went wrong. We got to get in. We got to get out, you know. So she's talking to this girl that she works with, and she's like really into roller derby. She's like, oh yeah, you know, this girl Mickey, she'll come in here, she'll kick everybody's ass in this place and all this. It's like, yes, I mean, to me, I'm like, what the? I don't understand the world and what we're inhabiting yet. And I'm just like, I don't know if in 72 everybody would understand that roller derby was like a big thing.
Well, I think like anyone, like if you're not into sports and you have that coworker who like comes in Monday morning and be like, oh, did you watch the game? I'm like, no. And they're like, oh, let me tell you about it. I'm like, oh, Jesus.
You should have seen it. Oh, my God. It fucking helmet
man, he threw that thing in sports.
And the other girl's like, oh, yeah, it's great, Claudia. Okay. And then, okay, here we go. Guys, we're securely in 1972.
Oh, yeah.
Workplace rules were a little bit different, I guess, because this old plant manager, he gives Claudia a little how do you do, which is basically he comes up behind her and kind of like puts her in a full Nelson, but like grabs her breasts.
Oh, he grabbed everything.
Yeah.
Like he just kind of like puts his hands up. He's like, hey, how you doing, huh? Haven't got my morning hug. She just is like, get your hands off me.
He's all mad because she, I guess, went over his head to ask for a raise. He's
Yeah.
like, you come to me for a raise.
Do you think that was somebody that casted her? That came out and he played the old man? Because he's like,
that was Crown's cameo.
yeah,
in this
we
movie.
got a playmate here. I'm going to get as much like field time as I can.
Yeah, well, I hired Claudia Jennings. Of course, I'm going to put myself in the movie, you know. But this is very disturbing. It's like, so this is the only scene I think that you're on Claudia's side.
Right.
Right. Yes.
Because you're like, no, that man just sexually assaulted her. He leaves this scene and gives her a literal titty twister.
Yeah.
Which I was like, oh, man. Even in a movie, it's disturbing. He grabs her breast and turns it. And he's like, I'll see you in the office, eh? Oh, man. 1972, guys.
Yeah.
Playmate rules, I guess, you know?
Yep. This is where she throws that fit and she starts throwing the food at the door.
Yeah,
And
she
then-
turns the cat food machine on fast. Because this is like the old thing. Like, I don't know if this is a real thing in life, but, you know, I guess like every machine in a factory, you could just turn on to super speed. Like, why they would
pull a lever and
Yeah.
everything can go wrong.
Why that would ever be a possibility? Like, okay, well, this is the normal speed for it to work, but just in case you wanted to fuck it up, you just kind of turn it on a little faster. Because we got to put in the Bugs Bunny option. Where, like, just in case we can...
Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, just in case you want to cause mayhem, just pull the lever to here, and then it will go so fast nothing works, and the food flies everywhere. It's nice to have, you know, just in case an employee has some grievances, you know, maybe they could let their frustrations out on the cat food. Because she turns this lever, the machine starts working, food's flying everywhere.
and she screams, "I quit my job."
Yeah, well, she says, I'm not working for that pervert anymore, and then she starts throwing food in his face and runs out, and he's still like, come in my office, we'll talk about that raise, it's all right. So then she goes home, Hughes, and she tells her roommates she's quitting her job.
Was this scene weird to you at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she came into this house. This guy's fucking this blonde girl, and she goes and tells them that she quit her job. And his first question is like, "Who's gonna pay rent?"
Okay, hold on. I got a lot of questions. One, I don't even think they were having sex because I think that this man might be special. Because,
Greg?
Yeah.
We meet Greg and Donna, who are Karen's only two friends. And they do appear to be engaging in not necessarily sex.
From what I can see is that he's trying to stick his head up her vagina.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because he's under the
Oh,
covers,
right.
he's like ramming his head into her, and she's like, ah! Like, that's not how you do it. Also, this guy, like I'm saying, I think he's special because he's doesn't seem all there. I mean, maybe it's just me, but he doesn't ever say a line without going like, he starts laughing hysterically while he tries to read a line, and he
I think he's
screams
just supposed to
and-
be stupid.
Yeah, I think
Right?
he's
Like
just
he's
I
just
mean,
dumb.
so this man, he's like so stupid, he doesn't know. He's like, that's what penis for?
Penis go well?
I mean, I heard head. I thought that.
I also like that her bedroom is decorated in hubcaps.
there's a bunch of stuff. I wrote down.
You know where he got those, obviously. We'll find out.
He has his hubcaps. His headboard is a Cadillac bumper. And he has
Bringing his work home, huh?
Yeah, he's got a flag hanging above it. It says "fuck"
In the Ford, yeah.
but in the Ford lettering.
Are you serious? I didn't notice
Yeah.
that part. Okay, so let's set the scene. Claudia walks into this house. She goes like, I quit my job. Then she walks into these people's room without knocking while this man's trying to shove
her
his
as a
head
hat.
into a vagina. Yeah, wear her as a hat. And then they're like, what's going on? And she's like, yeah, I quit my job. And then he says to you, well, who's going to pay the rent?
And I was asking who was paying the rent before.
Yeah, wait, I was like, hold on.
I was also asking, who are you?
Yeah, like, who are these people? They all live in the same house, and apparently Claudia Jennings pays for everything for them? Like, I guess the only way you can sympathize for her, other than her getting sexually assaulted, is that she, like, takes care of two special people? Like, is this what it is?
Apparently.
Like, I don't understand. Like, is she running, like, a halfway house or something? Because she comes in, she's like, oh, this is great. I quit my job. And at one point, so they go to the grocery store where they'll continue the conversation because her female roommate is like, what are we going to do for money? And Claudia just says, I'll get another job. I'll go to dancing school.
Well, that's brought on because Donna says that she can't have a job because she takes dance lessons. So, and then Claudia Jennings or Karen says something about how she's not talented enough for dance. But then we find out the dance lessons are actually just stripping.
Like, okay, so dance lessons is like, I guess you're an intern.
Yeah.
Well, it's amateur night, so they have to pay $20 to get on stage, but they get to keep half their tips.
Honey, when you get better, you can put your top back on. You know, that's the perk of this job. You got to go through school first.
I was expecting a lot more Showgirls references from you tonight.
Well, we might get to them. But, okay, so this is insane. They go to this grocery store and they're shopping, right? And they go to check out.
And the cashier woman, like, finishes the last customer, reaches over and closes her lane, and Karen is not happy about this.
Yeah, she closes the lane like she does. Like, everybody's fucking had happen to them at the grocery store. The light's off. You don't go in that lane. But Claudia's like, why'd you close the lane, huh?
And then she says something about, like, is my food too dirty for you to touch? It's just a bizarre line.
And the lady's just, like, confused as all hell. Like, almost like she didn't know this was part of the movie. Like, she's like, I'm sorry, what's going on? Is there a camera here?
But this was not set up at all. There's no reason for this. Like, she took it personally like she knew who that cashier was.
Yeah, she looks at her and she goes, listen here, bitch. My food not good enough for you? Huh? I'm too dirty for you to check me out? Huh? Huh?
And to be fair, the cashier did not use proper customer service. She was a little bitchy when she said, like, I'm on my break.
Well, but Claudia started in, like, she's like, hey, fuck you. Why don't you open your thing?
So this is a great way to get us on her side in the movie, is have her act like a crazy person at the grocery store.
Yeah, like a legit crazy person. Because, she goes like, no, I'm on my break.
And the manager is there, is like, you can just go to another lane.
Yeah, the manager.
I'm not going to another lane.
No, you have her open up this one. This is the one I want to go to. And he's just like, ma'am, you just go over to the other lane. It's no big deal.
She's on her break. Union rules.
And then, the lady says, I'm on my break. Then Claudia Jennings balls up her hand in a fist and says, I'll put you on your break, and tries to punch her. And the manager holds her back. At this point, I'm like, no. The cops need to be called. Like, she needs to be gone. This is 1972 in LA. You can just do whatever the fuck you want. You can physically threaten a cashier at a grocery store. It's just a Saturday night, you know? Basically, Claudia says, I'm not using no other line. And we know how she likes to mess with canned food.
Oh, yeah. And, of course, there's the setup of a giant stack of cans.
Right in the front. And Karen gives it a couple of swift kicks and knocks over the cans. And then they run out through the entrance with the cart, stealing groceries. This is our main character. That's what I wrote. I wrote, okay, our protagonist, everyone, our character we're going to sympathize with, who threatened to beat up a grocery store clerk and stole all her groceries.
Yeah, throws a tantrum and then runs off.
Like, okay, well, this is going to be a tough one.
And, this is the first time, but not the last time, that we see her steal groceries.
And, this is the thing is, like, maybe be like, oh, she has some charm. No, she's a terrible person.
She's a dick.
Like, I'm starting to think that maybe they all kind of got out of a mental hospital at some point. And they're like, we should all get a house together. And, like, all these ex-mental patients, they're like, well, Claudia, you got to take your pills. And she's like, I don't need no fucking pills. And now she's running wild around L.A., basically being a nuisance. Like, by the end of this movie, she should end up in jail.
Right.
She should not be a star.
As crazy as she is in this grocery scene, this isn't the craziest she'll get, and she'll get crazier and crazier throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, it's a big, and there's like, it basically crescendos to a point, but there's no resolution to any of it. So we go to the derby track, right? And then we see like, okay, this is great. So the boss guy, the guy from Super Chick, right? He's like, okay, everyone who's here, this is to try out for the roller derby. And I write, why would anybody be there if they're not?
Well, if they were going to be there to like cheer their friends on or whatever.
Yeah, he was like, okay, if you're here for the roller derby, we're trying out. If not, you gotta go. And I was just like, all right, well, why would...
If you're on the bleachers, try out.
And then he goes, okay, for those of you who left, if you can't roller skate, you should leave. I was like, okay, what? I'm sorry, why would you show up to a roller derby track if you can't skate? Like, you think you'd at least practice a little bit. You'd have
at least that baseline.
And I just wrote in my notes, I'm like, they must have some, like, just degenerates and homeless people that just got to show up. They're like, I heard there was free water.
Free water?
There's, like, stale donuts that they're offered or something. And then he's like, all right, everybody who can skate, get on this track. And then okay, so there's, like, this assistant guy that he has.
It's his son-in-law, right?
Right.
It's his son-in-law?
There's a line where he calls him his son a lot, and then there's another line about like son-in-law.
If you were to relate this to the WWF, it would be like Triple H.
Triple H, man, that's Triple H.
It's Triple H of roller derby. He tells him, he's like, all right, hey, bring the rest of those people on the track, even if they can't skate, because we're not insured.
All right, it was help them onto the track, because if they fall, we're not insured, which is the most truest to roller derby thing I heard in this movie.
But it's like, if you're not insured, why would you want them on the track?
Because
then they can't.
I think you want to make sure that they don't fall getting onto the track, because then they wouldn't be covered by the insurance.
Because otherwise, he's like, your fault. Yeah. You were on the track. Yep. Your fault.
You chose this.
So if a guy trips outside, they go, what? Get him on the track. Get him on the track. So then we get VO of him going, where'd you find these idiots? And I'm like, I mean, some of these people can't even stand on roller skates, and they're out there, they're just like going, ugh. So basically the tryouts are like for a bunch of, like I said, like degenerates and homeless people that just showed up. They're like, I guess there's something to do on a Monday.
I think that's how it happened back in the day.
Yeah.
And they're all trying to skate. Nobody's good except for Claudia.
Well, Claudia, and then there's the two dudes who disappear from the movie after the scene. But
one of the dudes who we refer to, again, 1972, the F word, he's a gay man.
I guess we only get that from the promoter guy, and I didn't...
Because he's like, who's this gay?
Yeah. And he didn't seem effeminate in any way. He just seemed like a tall black guy skating.
And, well, him and Claudia were pinching each other's butts, and they're like, he must be a gay.
Did you?
Because a man would get a hold of it.
Yeah.
He wouldn't pinch.
It wouldn't be playful. It'd be aggressive. It's the only way.
So did you find this voiceover weird, though? So we have multiple shots of this montage of skaters being kicked out and everything, but then you have this voiceover that's like two guys standing next to each other the whole time. So
because we need to know what's going on.
Yeah.
This was definitely after they're like, no, nobody can understand what the fuck is going on. I'm watching a man touch another, like they're pinching each other, and I don't know what's happening. You got to put some sort of voiceover on this, son. Get that Scorsese guy.
I do. Yeah, I definitely noticed that too, where it's all in voiceover, except there are shots of at least the son-in-law on the infield directing people. But I think they kind of did a good job of hiding, like you wouldn't hear his voice speaking when he was on camera. So maybe that was Scorsese showing his chops by being like, no, continuity.
Do you think Scorsese got this movie and was like, I don't understand any of this. You need to add some voiceover.
I could watch him like physically shaking trying to edit this together.
It's just like, no. This is not a movie. This is like a home video. But, okay, so the Triple H, right? He's the one who brings up that the guy's gay. But then the boss is like, no, you don't get it. It's about showmanship. See, he doesn't understand because Vince McMahon is running this roller derby, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, no. You need your Hulk Hogan's and you need your Doink the Clowns. And this guy, you know, the audience will really hate him, is what he said.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they're going to hate him.
It's like for no other reason.
But then the weird thing, maybe that's why he disappears from the movie, is because he wouldn't be on the babyface team.
Yeah, he was
so
definitely
maybe he was
on
like,
the
yes,
team.
you can do it, but you're going to skate for Fresno.
He was the guy going, oh, God. I think we know the Fresno F word is what his nickname probably would have been.
Fresno F.
And he would come out and pinch, you know, and they'd be like, look at him, hate him. He's different than you.
He's the gold dust of the roller derby.
He is. So then, okay, we go to backstage somewhere. Is
You're right.
what I read.
I have no idea where we're at.
It's like they found like a loading dock to film in. Is that apparently Claudia made the team because we see like a bottle of champagne.
Yeah, they're celebrating.
Oh, right, yeah.
And they're celebrating her and her roommates. They're celebrating backstage somewhere.
Oh, it's got to be, isn't it backstage at the club
Yeah.
where Donna
The club will
dances?
never go back to.
No.
But this looks like a murder room where they're in. Like, this looks like somewhere in LA that you don't want to be.
A 70s LA strip club. That sounds about right.
Okay, so Claudia is irate. I'm like, okay, set this scene up. Claudia's wearing like a club dress, and then her roommate's in like bra and panties, and the special guy, what's his name?
Greg?
Greg.
Is it Greg and Donna, I think?
Yeah, the Greg and Donna.
So Greg is just sitting there drinking, and he's like, "It's good to get drunk on somebody else's money," ha ha, and he always has this horrible laugh.
But isn't he's like, I'm just going to do this and I have to get to work.
Yeah, which we'll find out.
Yeah.
He didn't have to go far. Greg says that Claudia's going to be a big star, and I said, doing what? Because I'm like, she's in a, like, they don't look very rich doing roller derby, but apparently it's a modest accommodation, but boy, they pay their derby girls well.
It's all about sponsorships. It's not about everything else.
Yeah. So we go out on stage. Now, this is the club. So from what I can gather, this is a club that is, apparently there's a band that plays on stage. There's women that dance on a table topless near the band, and then people play poker.
Yeah.
And I'm like, pick one.
No,
Like,
do
just
it
fucking
all.
pick one. It's like, I want to have a band, also strippers, also poker, all in the same building. We can barely fit it all in one place because the girls that are stripping are like standing on what should be a bar.
Yeah. And there's only room for two of them to not move.
And they don't strip. They don't have tops on, and they just kind of like do the twist.
And I'd have no idea to what music because it didn't match the band that was playing, and it didn't match what was actually playing on my screen.
Yeah, the band is like this rockabilly looking band, which would have been weird in the 70s. Like, was rockabilly
They
a
all look
thing?
like Buddy Holly or something.
Yeah, like Buddy Holly in leather jackets. And then playing not the music that was playing.
No.
during.
And the girls are dancing like it's not strip music. This is all weird. And then Claudia walks up to a poker table with a guy with one of those green visors on, and everything. And she goes, "Hey, can I play a game?" And he goes, "It's a dangerous game, honey." She takes him by the ear and twists him and goes, "Yeah, I'll show you dangerous." And then some guy's like, "No, let her play. She's got money." I'm just like, again, we're supposed to sympathize with this lady? Like, he didn't do anything really mean to her. He was just like, "Hey, you might not want to play. It's dangerous." Yeah. She's just basically grabs him by the balls and says, "You want to see dangerous?"
I think the movie is mistaking like tough or crazy for tough.
A strong female character for insane character.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so this is what I said. Basically, yeah, her roommate works as a topless dancer on a table with another lady. And then this bartender, boy, did he enjoy his 5 minutes in this movie.
Yeah.
This guy, so he just tells jokes that aren't really jokes. Basically, he just tells this old man sitting at the bar all his business. Because he starts going on, he's like, about some lady that got a boob job, and they had to fire her because her face shook more than her boobs.
It was that her boobs were too small to work as a dancer, to go to like Palm Springs and get her boobs done. So she does.
Where everybody gets their boobs done in Palm Springs.
I guess 1970s
You're
was
in
the
LA.
boob job. And she comes back, and her boob job made her boobs so hard that when she danced, her ears moved more than her boobs, so they had to fire her anyway.
That's what the joke was.
Yeah. So, but it's not even really a joke. It's just a sad story about a woman, destroying her body.
yeah. He's like, "Yeah, I told this girl go get a boob job, and then I had to fire her because she wasn't any good."
But like every one of them, all the jokes and stories and anecdotal tales of the bar are done this way, like where you come in halfway through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're listening to this guy like, am I supposed to be paying attention to this?
Well,
Or-
apparently he's the only
important?
one talking.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a weird motif because, so we have the bartender does his weird stories, and then Angie,
the female
female
coach,
manager for the Avengers, she also has like bits where she tells old vaudeville
multiple
jokes.
times.
Yeah, vaudevillian jokes, yeah.
Which apparently, I looked into that actress's background. Last movie she made, she died right after this movie. But she had a long history of like playing, like for a large woman, playing romantic leads in movies. Like, but where she'd be like the kind of like the battle axe wife with like the
Battle axe.
long-suffering husband, and she was in like a bunch of Three Stooges shorts. But she also had a nightclub act, which I'm sure is how she got into this and why she has the.
How old is that
all the
lady
jokes.
then? She's in Three Stooges. Stuff.
Yeah. She died I just looked at it.
She
but I forget,
doesn't
like in her
look-
60s. She doesn't look like
She
terrible.
doesn't look old at all. She
And-
looks like she's in her 30s.
Wait, no, are you thinking of the large skater? 'Cause
No,
there's
I
the-
was thinking of the coach. She didn't look
With the
that
whip?
old.
With the
yeah,
whip?
she looked like
okay.
she was 40 years
I know,
old.
She was older.
And she looked a little bit old, but not bad because she has a near topless scene in the movie.
Yeah, that was bizarre. Which is just like, did she just?
I think she just tore up her own shirt. She's like, I'm gonna let the girls out.
This movie needed Muggsy.
Oh my God! If Ruth Gordon was one of the coaches, get her, girls, get her, get her.
She would have taken advantage of Nick.
Oh, I'll do co-ed.
She would have shown Greg where to put his head.
But this okay. So we cut from him telling a joke to outside, and now we find out what Greg does for a living, which is steals car parts.
Yeah.
Again, we're supposed to sympathize with these characters, right?
Yeah.
He's stealing car parts in the parking lot
Of the club.
Of the club.
Was it
where
a park-
his girlfriend works.
Yeah, was it a parking lot or was it a gas station?
I think it was a gas
It was
station.
definitely.
Right next to.
It was definitely a gas station where they're like, we can't. They said we can't film in the parking lot, so let's just go over to this gas station.
It's
I
also
know.
weird. Why did that guy park his car at a gas station?
He took up a spot.
Yeah, and unless I don't know enough about how they did gas rationing back then, but maybe like that gas
There
station
a
was closed. That
sign
day.
that said gas war,
Gas
so
war,
it
yeah.
was a gas station. Yeah, it's like no. Leave your car here. Go look at a topless lady. By the pumps were so slow. They're like, by the time you're done with your drink, the gas will
Yeah,
be ready.
go tie one on and then get back to your car.
And we know in LA that in the 70s people would just drink it and drive.
Yep.
Drink while drive, That's the old LA pastime, Oh, you know what? You got this drink holder. It's for your beer, sir. Just put it right here. You fit a 6-pack. It's great.
No paper bag needed.
So we go, okay, so he's stealing car parts, and we're like, again, our protagonists, everybody. Then we go back into the topless poker band bar, okay? And the bartender tells another, quote, joke. And like the old man who's listening could not care less. He's just like, is my gas done?
Well, wasn't he talking to some girl?
He wasn't even talking to her. He's just sitting there with his hand on his face like, Jesus Christ, how long does it take to fucking pump that gas? Because this guy's telling another joke, quote joke, and I wrote it down.
Oh, good, because I did not remember the second joke.
So girl on a stage there, her boyfriend comes here the other night and she says, I want $10. And he says, what do you want $10 for? And she said, I want to buy myself a brassiere. He says, hell, you ain't got nothing to put in it. She says, you wear shirts, don't you?
Shorts.
Shorts.
He doesn't have a dick.
That's a joke.
Hey.
No, and then at that point, the blonde and the gold dress switches sides of the bar, sitting next to the old guy, right?
Well, she thinks these jokes are hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, ha, 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 ha. After every joke, she goes to sit next to him. She's a hooker.
Yeah, that's the impression I got. Yeah, that she was a hooker.
I don't know.
Okay,
Because she doesn't act like a hooker once they.
You think she's a hooker because I don't know if there's some sort of code word or something, because she comes up to him and he's just like, oh, hey, what are you doing? I'm about to leave. And she's like, I'm waiting for my brother. And he says, can't you just pretend I'm your brother? And I'm like,
I want to say that I believe that is kind of code, like in Vegas at bars, like where hookers hang out, is that when they're asked like what they're there for, they have, I'm waiting for someone or I'm waiting for like a relative. I believe I only know that because I think it's in Leaving Las Vegas.
But
with
this is the
Elizabeth
weirdest
Shue.
part. He's like, leave him a note?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they
then-
leave a note.
And she doesn't, the whole joke is she's so dumb she doesn't know how to spell, which is just like, oh my God. So so she really was waiting for her brother?
Yeah.
And they write a note about something about how she's gonna, they like give her his address and everything and his profession, by
he's
the
an
way.
executive.
He even says write executive, and so he's like, write down my, like basically, I'll just write him my business card, just in case you go missing, he'll know where to look. And then they like go out, and you find out that Greg was stealing this guy's car parts or something. And so he gets in the car, like it's a nice Cadillac or something. And then she's like, it might be a nice car, but it would be nice if it started.
And then the stinger on that scene is, doesn't she say like, oh, is there anything I can do for you? And you're expecting a sex joke, but he says, give me a push.
Yeah, like this guy seriously is like 2 inches from a rope. Like he looks like he would rather just die than be alive, because even when his car doesn't work, he just doesn't care. He's just like, oh God, just sweet release. That's all I want. You know what? You can do me a favor. Open that glove box.
Also weird about the scene where with Greg stealing the car parts is there's a dude with him that does most of the work
That we'll never see again.
that we never see again.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't you just have fucking Greg steal the car parts?
He's like the Charles Manson of this rig. You know, he doesn't do the work himself. He just gets everybody else into it for him.
He's the Tom Sawyer.
So then we go back to the roller rink, right? And now there's this guy that we'll never see again,
Yep.
who's like basically the guy who's going to teach him how to pro wrestle. Is he says, okay, but this is the quote he says, maybe one day one or two of you new players will end up playing professional, making the big bucks. Probably some of you will end up in the hospital. And I wrote, big bucks? Professional? Because at this point, while I'm watching the movie, I have no idea that this is a thing. I'm just like, this is just looks like a shithole roller rink that they're like, we can make money by selling tickets and watch people fight each other.
Also, it's weird because at this point, these people have seemingly passed the audition. So aren't all of them going to be on the team, that is professional?
No, I think they'd have to go through training, and probably they'll lose some people
Okay.
through that training.
But did we see them lose anyone? Well, I guess.
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Because, I mean, like, they have that currently now. It's like right here in LA, we have Santino Bros, which is like where all the people go to wrestle first and then try out.
Yeah.
So,
But they were like, all right, you know how to skate. Now you need to know how to do the other thing, which is the whole, basically everything, which is to learn how to play fight.
And to be fair, the rules that he explains are the legit rules, with the jammer having to pass everyone once and then gets points on each subsequent pass. But then that never really... When
There's
they
no
show the,
game being played.
There's no game being played when they show it. It just seems like people are just randomly moving around the track.
And hitting each other.
Yeah.
And doing wrestling moves.
I was surprised that they actually like outright acknowledged like you have to know how to take a hit, and this is how to take a hit, and you also need your opponent needs to know that they're about to take a hit. Like how like honest it was. I actually did not know that would be part of it. Kind of like it sometimes in wrestling movies where it'll kind of half-ass the kayfabe, where I'll be like, oh, wrestling's fake, but oh, sometimes it's real, like Ready to Rumble, where
Right.
where it's like, oh, it's fake, but then they treat wrestling as real for the rest of the movie.
and I liked how this movie, like, they tell you each point that you're going to have to put it into, like, this is the part for the crowd, this is a great spot, now you go into this spot, and then this is the main spot, A, B,
Yeah.
C, and D.
So at this point, did people know that wrestling was fake?
That was my question. Not wrestling, but roller derby. Did they know roller derby was predetermined?
I think at this point, yes, because this was the downhill side.
Okay.
Because it's like they're giving away all the secrets.
Yeah.
It's like like we're watching a magic movie and they're showing like, well, this is how you saw a lady. You know, they're giving away all the secrets.
It's like The Prestige.
And at the end, I shouldn't spoil the movie.
That movie's been out for over a decade. I think you can spoil it. Worst ending ever.
I saw it just for the first time like the other month.
Oh.
And I was like, I didn't like it at all.
No.
It was probably the worst Christopher Nolan movie. Have you seen The Prestige?
I don't know which one it is.
It's the magic one.
There's two magic
With
ones
Christian-
that came out the same
No,
time.
it's with Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman.
Oh, where Christian Bale's a twin?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Tesla invents cloning machines. And,
Cloning teleportation.
cloning teleportation. And Hugh Jackman, for some reason, keeps the sealed cases of his duplicates in a basement.
Yeah.
Why? Just fucking bury the bodies. Empty it.
I know, it's like
a perfectly good Chinese water torture case. Those are expensive to buy.
Yeah, he's making a new one every show.
Every show, a new one. Terrible movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's what year are we in? Just throw it in the ocean. Nobody gives a shit.
No, you got to get blind stage hands.
Oh yeah, like it's so complicated.
Tie a rock around him and throw him in the water.
I'm mad that David Bowie is in that movie. He's better than that.
Nobody would care. Back in those times, they see somebody getting thrown in the river. He must have done something bad, huh? Tie a big of rocks. You want him to sink. We don't want any of the boats hitting him, you know?
Fleet Street it, man. Just start making your meat pies.
In those days, the cops would come up and help. You need some help, sir? Oh, disposing some bodies?
Just
no
pay
problem.
me a farthing.
What do you do, huh? No, don't even tell me. Let's get rid of his asshole. They go through all the rules of pro wrestling, basically, and they show like how you fake hit and all this stuff, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we go to a doctor. Oh, boy.
Oh, man.
So the principal from Malibu High is hanging out in this room, and from what I can see, he has an examination table, and he's eating his dinner with like a wrapped sandwich and like a glass of scotch on the rocks on the examination table. And the only time I've ever seen anything this disturbing is when I went to a Walmart and saw a wrapped sandwich in a stall, and I was like, it was half eaten, and I was like, who would eat their lunch in a Walmart stall? But
and someone ate the other half of that sandwich.
So then Claudia, from whence it came, in and out. This guy is like, this old pervert is sitting there, and Claudia comes in. She's like, oh yeah, I need my physical or something. And he's like, oh, okay. And she's like, do you want me to take my clothes off? And he's like, yeah, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great. And so then she like gets down to her bra and panties, and she walks over to the table, and she sits down. She's like, oh, it's so cold. And he's like, here, let me warm it up for you.
Which that bit before the scene turns, I thought this was going to be a very funny scene. I was very wrong.
Because then he goes, no, while I'm sitting down here, come over to my lap. Let me feel you up, is what his version of a physical is. Which this is, how many movies have we covered on the Grindbin where it's a physical of an old man pervert? Every one. It's like, this is at least half the movies.
If there's a scene with a doctor, then it's like for sure is going to
or a fake doctor.
Fake doctor.
Yeah, like screwballs.
Loose screws.
This might be a loose screw situation, because she even asks him, she goes, are you even a real doctor? When he starts like just touching her, because she's also like, why aren't you using any tools? And he goes, the best tool is a man's hand. And it's like, I
like that he says that he attended 3 different medical schools. He never says he's a doctor. He attended 3 different medical schools.
When he says the best tool is a man, I'm like, I hope that this guy is not a gynecologist as well, because this is going to get very, very disturbing. But then she's like, all right, I've had enough. But she also says something. She's like, are you a doctor? And he says, first thing they teach you in doctor school is how to warm up the table. You imagine like day one, like, because I went to film school. They're like, all right, day one, we're gonna you show us what you got. We're gonna give you a camera and we're gonna tell you to make this movie. Day one of doctor school. All right, day one, okay. Number one thing every doctor needs to learn, not about not killing people or giving bad advice or doing anything you can to help your patients, warming up that table. All right.
There's 11 different types of tables.
She basically has enough. She's about to leave, but then Mickey comes in. So basically the top girl in the roller derby comes in and she's like, hey, you got any more of those pills? And the doctor's like, wait, what pills I give you?
Were they red ones? Were they blue? I don't know. They were just pills.
And he's like, here, how about some of these? And he's like going over to this thing and like getting pills out and everything. And he's like, here, just try some of those. Call me in the morning. And she walks out. I guess she was like kind of eyeing Claudia.
Yeah.
Like,
saw that body, that rock hard body.
She did say, Claudia, again, it's kind of like a showgirls thing where she thinks like everybody is like attracted to her. Because she's like, yeah, what are you looking at, lesbian or something? And it's just like, she's like, no, I'm just here trying to
get my pills.
Trying to get my heroin pills.
I know you want to fuck me.
Yeah, she does. She's like, hey, I bet you want this, huh? She's like, no, I'm sorry.
Take a look because you're never going to have it.
And then the doctor, like, so she leaves. The doctor's like, wait, sorry, you look fine. What do you want? Some more pills or something? And she's like, no, I don't need pills. And then he like tries to run a scam of selling her orthopedics and everything.
Skate foot inserts, which are very important for skaters to have the proper inserts. I will say that part is legit.
But here's the thing. He gives away pills for free, but he won't give away like Dr. Scholl's for free. So that was odd.
That scene is really weird because we've already seen Karen deal with a grabby pervert.
Yeah.
And like throw cat food in his face. But for some reason, she just no-sells how creepy and weird the whole situation with the doctor is. Like, I expected her at any moment to like punch the guy or like do some, like get some sort of revenge. Nope. Nothing.
Nothing ever happens to him.
Yeah.
Thank God. Like, this guy is terrible. Like, I'm happy he was only in the movie for the amount he is, which is basically this scene, and to every now and then walk out on the track really slow and be like, yeah, I think she's dead. She dead, sir. Oh, boy, this one, we don't even need the gurney for this one. Call the coroner. It happens all the time. So we go to Claudia at home, right? She's like getting in her uniform and practicing in front of the mirror. Some guy comes to deliver groceries, and she just starts pro wrestling. Like, she's like Hulk Hogan.
She's practicing footwork and blocking techniques on this guy.
She's kicking his ass.
But why is that guy even there? They don't have any money. She hasn't made any money, and she's having her groceries delivered.
She must have money, right? Like, she's the one Like, I guess the cat food job paid pretty well. So
Well-
she must still have savings from that. We'll
And
go
we
with
know
that.
they're not allowed to go in the grocery store anymore because, I mean, we know what happened the last time.
Maybe that makes more sense. That's why they can't go back.
Ah, that does make sense.
So, but she's having grocery deliveries and she kicks the guy's ass. So now they're not allowed to have deliveries anymore. So they've kind of burned that bridge at that Ralph's. They're not able to go back. They got her picture on the wall. They're like, no. We won't call the cops, but just, it's 1972. You just stay away from those bad customers, the ones that assault our grocery store boys. So this guy also looks terrified. Like he almost doesn't know he's in a movie because he's getting his ass kicked. He's like, and then he runs. And then her roommates come out, and they're just like...
Because it's her first game, so she's very excited. She has her uniform on. And it's the middle of the afternoon, and the game is until the night. And they point out, like, it's 2:30. Why are you already dressed? You have, like, hours to kill. And Karen gets pissy about that.
If they
it's
weren't her
Karen.
friends, she would pull out a knife and stab one.
Oh,
of
yeah.
them. Then we go to the track, right? The game is going on.
It's a bout.
The bout has started. So the lady coach of the Avengers, right?
Angie Stryker, if memory serves.
She has a whip with her. Mm-hmm. So she carries around an Indiana Jones whip. The other coach just kind of runs around and he has the pervert. So
Yeah.
she's got a whip, he's got a pervert. Like, I think it's an unfair fight, to be honest. But so basically, like, Claudia's like, how when do I get on the rink? And they're like, oh, not until...
Someone breaks a leg.
Yeah. And then somebody does right on cue. That's when so the masked man, the pervert, comes out and kind of like crotch thrusts into a lady and takes her out, right? Basically, the doctor walks up and he's like, yeah, I think this one's dead. And they pull her off. And then it's Claudia's turn and she like knocks this big lady down and then steals her mask.
Oh, yeah, because they handed out masks for all the demons. Because, okay, the masked pervert wears like a little bandito mask, a yellow bandito mask. And then he hands out that mask to the entire demons team. And it's supposed to be like a weird big deal. That,
Yeah, they
now
were all like,
masks.
they all got the mask. We can't know who's who.
Yeah. Even though their body types are vastly different.
And they're numbered.
Yeah, they all have numbers. We don't know what pervert's which anymore. Yeah, she steals the mask and she's like playing to the crowd and everything. And then the crowd is also just throwing trash in there and yelling, like getting real pissed at the demon team. Then we just go to the locker room, and here's what's funny to me. So this is after the bout, right? And the coach of the Avengers is yelling at them like, you don't even know how to skate or something. You can't even play the game good. I write, it's all staged. What do you mean they're not playing it good?
That's why I got confused.
Because she's like, you're terrible. You know how many points you got? It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like, you win every game. It's staged, lady. This would be like somebody in wrestling that come back. How come you lost the title?
But you could like dress someone down for having a bad match. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you took that hit poorly. That's the worst. That's the worst dressing down you can imagine. Vince McMahon just telling someone like, you took that hit
Bad.
great.
Okay, basically the girls, they come up to Claudia. They're like, hey, that was great what you did, but the next time you do that, you need to let somebody know ahead of time so they know what you're going to do. And I was like, I don't think it was that big of a deal. She just took a mask and just kind of skated around. Like, you got to have some improvising or else it's going to be pretty boring.
Right.
Like,
But
somebody...
it's also weird, like the skater that she did it to is right there in that scene, like sitting right across from them.
Yeah.
But they didn't have her have any lines or anything about like, yeah, like, hey, maybe like let me know next time if you're gonna do something like that.
No, it's all of a sudden Grindbin All-Star from the roommates comes up and tells her that with Mickey, and they're just like, hey, actually, we're the leaders of this movie. You didn't know that. Hello, audience. Welcome to the the apparently bad guys of this movie, although we're not really bad guys, actually. We should be the ones you're sympathizing
We're the
with.
professionals.
The Gina Gershons.
Yeah, actually, we're the ones you should feel really bad for by the time the movie's over, because we get screwed. We're going to go ahead and tell her what she did wrong. Thank you for watching. And then basically it all ends with like them... They're like making fun of Claudia's outfit. Or something?
Yeah,
which is weird.
They're like, what's this thing that doesn't have legs on it? Huh? It's some.
That's
sort
not
of,
what a skater wears.
What is this? Like a leather thing? You think it's a purse, but she puts it around her crotch. I mean, what is this? Like they never seen a skirt before.
Yeah, that is some weird hazing.
Yeah, like, you think in an NFL locker room, they're like, look at he wears shorts. What a dummy. It's like, okay. So then they go to a bar, right? And everyone, I guess it's like they break kayfabe every night. because the heel team
Everyone's
and the
at the
babyface
bar together.
all hang out with each other, which apparently in pro wrestling they were not allowed to do.
No, that's part of the way they got caught was because they got that DUI together.
Yeah, they weren't even
Iron Sheik and
The Iron
Hacksaw.
Sheik, yeah.
because apparently like back then they weren't even allowed to ride anywhere or hang out with each other.
No,
or
they had
anything.
separate hotels, separate rides.
You got to pretend they hate each other, but not here. You can literally go next to the roller derby rink and see both teams hanging out. Apparently, nobody ever caught wise to. They're like, hey, let's go check out, hang out with the derby crowd. But they go to this bar and everyone's hanging out and having a good time. And then so that's when we get introduced to another character who is I right, Evil Knievel. This guy,
Nick
is wearing like the puffy shirt from Seinfeld if it was an American flag.
Yeah.
Yep.
With the blue sleeves with the white stars, and then the body is, because it's not stripes, it's like a design in white and red to be like the stripes.
He looks like a guy about to announce a rodeo.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Or the rodeo clown. This is the most absurd shirt I think I've seen in any Grindbin movie. This thing is nuts.
He looks like a Frenchman about to announce a rodeo.
Because he has also like some weird
frills,
pencil mustache.
Oh god, too.
I thought this was the pervert. I was like, wait, she's gonna hang out with the pervert man? But he comes over and he's like trying to be nice to her. He's like, hey, yeah, you're doing real good for your first night. And she's like, hey, you know what? Fuck you. Get me a beer, huh? And then walks away, and I'm like, our main character, everyone. Yep. Our main character.
And then that guy goes and gets her a beer.
Yeah, he's like, oh, okay. This is when I wrote she's a lot like Elizabeth Berkley in Showgirls.
Yes.
Like, she's just a bitch to everybody.
It's her first night, and now she's the greatest thing that's ever happened to this sport.
Yeah, because again, he walks up, he's like, oh, you did real well tonight. And she's like, yeah, I bet you want to fuck me, don't you? Huh? Why don't you buy me a beer first? And he's like, oh, okay. Well, I guess that's how it works. All right. So then Mickey comes over, right? And she's like giving Claudia a hard time. Well, she kind of just playfully comes up. She's like, look at who it is over here. And then Claudia takes her arm like she's going to break it. Like she takes her by it and she's like, hey, you like that? Huh? Yeah, I'll push it down. You go to the fucking doctor and you'll never skate again. And she's just like, oh, I'm sorry. I was just playing around. I mean,
it escalates very quickly.
I mean, they shouldn't do this to Claudia, but at the same time, she's kind of asking for some sort of hazing because she's being a jerk to everybody. And they're like, look, we're all friends here. If we're going to get along and you're going to work here, you need to, be friendly, at least, be cordial.
Go along to get along.
Because before the last scene ended, she was like, you might wear the uniform, but you're not part of the team yet.
Right.
But what they do to her is not appropriate.
Well, so there's a pool table, and they pull Karen onto the pool table, hold her down, and then tear her clothes off.
Yeah, they rip her shirt off. Like in Salute Your Shorts, remember that show? Like they're going to give her the awful waffle.
Wait, I do not remember the waffle.
Yeah, in Salute Your Shorts, they would do this thing where they give you an awful waffle where they put you on a table, they pull up your shirt, and they put a bunch of syrup and ketchup and stuff on it.
And then they take your shirt down and stick you to it.
I thought they were going to give her the awful waffle. But no, they just rip her clothes off, and she's now topless because they're like, come on, Claudia, you're in Playboy. We got to get some of that in the movie.
And I think that's her first... Is that the first full topless for her in the movie?
Yeah. They were
great context for that.
Like Mr. Brown sitting there with a watch. He's like, hey, we're 30 minutes in, huh? Oh, there they are. Hey, look, I didn't hire her for her acting, all right? We got it.
You didn't? Because this next scene, she lays down some acting.
Okay. This was amazing. So she has her top off, and she just grabs a pool stick, and she just starts walking over to everybody. She's like, I bet you want to fuck me, huh? You want to fuck me, you jerk? And then she's walking over to all these people. Yeah. She walks over to some lady who is not even part of it. I don't even know if she's part of the team or anything. She just walks over to this lady. She's like, I bet you want to fuck me, huh? Look at, how do you like this body, huh? This hard body I worked on in the gym. It's just like, I'm trying to enjoy my Coors Light. I have no idea who you are. And then finally, Evil Knievel pulls her out of this bar. He's like, all right.
Throws a blanket over her shoulder.
He's like, I think you've had enough. He takes her outside, and she says to him, she goes outside, they go to his motorcycle, and she says, why would they do this to me? And I go, because you're not nice.
Yeah.
Kind of a bitch.
You're mean to everybody. Granted, you shouldn't got your shirt ripped off. That's a little bizarre of a punishment. Like I said, it was like, we got to fit nudity in somehow, so maybe we should have somebody rip a girl's shirt off. That's some sort of bizarre hazing punishment. But he's like, oh, yeah, you're you didn't deserve that. Let me go get your clothes and everything. And so she sits on a bike, and this has got to be
where she's sitting, and it's weird because in the scene, like once he gets her outside on the bar and sits her down, she's very like emotionally shaken.
Yeah.
So like, oh, this is maybe a little humanizing for the monster of Karen that we've seen.
Nope.
So then Nick goes back inside, and Karen's waiting on the motorcycle. And then you cut to like 3 feet behind the motorcycle is a payphone, and there's a dude in the payphone calling somebody.
Marvin Eatmore from Screwballs 2.
Is it really
No,
him?
it's not him, but
it looks like
it
him,
is
right?
him, basically. And I write, is this a shared universe? Because
he calls someone who's like, yeah, there's a naked girl. She's on a motorcycle. And then he starts embellishing like he's Data at the end of Goonies, where he's like, there's an octopus and there's like 10 of them. He just like starts going on about how there's all these, there might be a gang of them. And is he referring to the girls in the bar?
The girls in the bar, like, I think he knows it was a derby girl.
I think he thought this was the start of a porno. Like he was like, there's a girl naked on a bike like I dreamed of.
You better come down here really fast.
Guys, Screwball boys, you need to use that time machine because I found a way. Like this was just Marvin. Like in Screwballs 3, they were gonna go back in time and be like, women were in 1970, you get away with whatever you want. I saw that in a movie. And so Marvin Eatmore goes back in time. He's like using the Bill and Ted phone booth.
I thought he was just calling, going like 2 points, and hangs up.
He comes back with her clothes, which aren't ripped at all.
No.
And he's like, all right, let's go for a ride on my motorcycle. And this is when I write my notes. I just write, okay.
This is where I think the movie abandons any idea that you're going to like Karen at all. Whether they knew that they were making that choice, but as an audience member, I'm like, oh, this bitch is crazy.
Because, yeah, they're riding around on Evel Knievel's bike. He's looking for a jump, okay? And she reaches down. Okay, first I thought this was her purse, but then I realized it's like a part of the bike.
It's a saddlebag.
Yeah, it's a saddlebag.
So in the saddlebag, she pulls out a handgun.
Yep.
And puts it right up to his face. And he's like, hey, come on, put that back,
Quit playing around.
Then she pulls the hammer of the gun back and just starts shooting it at things, not in the air.
No, at things. Like, I'm going to hit targets.
Yeah. First is a light up Dalmatian dog.
Okay, by the way, with a woman standing next to it. She shoots at a woman from the motorcycle, and he's like, quit playing around, Karen, come on. Then she starts trying to shoot through Randy's donut sign. Yeah. Then she's like shooting at like statues and lights. She shoots a billboard out.
Yeah.
She's firing a handgun in the middle of wherever we are.
Willy-nilly, somewhere in the valley.
This is, when you learn, basically, she's a legit crazy person.
Yeah, so she finally puts the gun away and all that kind of stuff, and she's kind of like making out with Nick. But if you notice, like, she goes to bite his ear, and he's like laughing, and he goes like, ah! He completely breaks character.
Then they go to the roller rink. Okay, so Claudia and Evel Knievel are coming to do some late night practice, and the old man guard almost shoots them.
Yeah, there's lots of random casual gunplay.
So the old man apparently lives at the rink, and he watches it for some reason. Like, who's gonna fucking break into this roller rink? What are you gonna steal? The track? Like, there's
Marks,
nothing there.
dude. Marks are gonna run into the locker rooms and steal everything.
Yeah, the screwball screw would get into the female. Like, they got this
screws.
whole they got this whole like diagram of the. Okay, so there we go. And you get up in the ladies' thing, and we can get in.
We're gonna put a trap door in the track, and when a lady falls on it, we'll open the trap door, and they'll fall in, and then we'll be friends with them.
Once we got it, that's all we need.
A trap door is 1,000 points.
Or is a trap 1,000 points?
There's just girls falling through the track, and they're just like, we don't know what's happening to them. We don't really know where that trap door came from, but whatever.
Showmanship.
So then, this is amazing, because there's this like practice date montage. They're like racing, but she's winning. Winning in a fake contest.
It's like foreplay, and like the song that's over her head is like, I would say it was like Johnny B. Good on a saxophone.
It
with
is.
Some piano.
It's really rocky.
This is what I was going to say. Okay, so the original movie, which we're, I believe, seeing the original music, they apparently had to re-record all the music. It made it into like synth for a 80s VHS release, but we don't have that version. So I think if you watch this movie on YouTube, or if you watch it on the DVD copy I have, or you have, Michael, that it's actually the original music, I believe. But this is crazy. So then we cut to them fucking in the middle of the ring.
And
the doctor
they have
table.
their roller skates on.
So they're pulling a roller girl for Boogie Nights, right? She
Yep.
never takes off those skates. And they're just fucking on a table, which seems very unsanitary to me. But the other thing is, the old man's there. Like, I was like, wait, that guy's still right there.
No, the old man went outside. He went to go lay. He went to go sleep
Yeah,
on the park
I was
bench.
thinking at some point you'd pan over and you just see him sitting there. And
He's winding the Victrola record player.
don't stop the music.
2 more minutes.
Okay, so then we see it's the morning, right? And like Claudia has her roommates pick her up.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the other thing is like Greg's like, why is she staying here for the night? Who's this fucking guy and all
He
this?
seemed
I'm like,
jealous,
He
right?
did seem really
hell?
jealous.
There was like this weird. That was the only part that he was ever jealous.
It was very weird. And then she comes out and she's like, hey, everybody, this is my new friend, Evil Knievel. We just fucked.
And they're wearing different clothes. Like, they're not wearing the same clothes from that night.
Yeah.
And it's weird. If memory serves, this is also an outfit we see Karen in later in the movie. So did she steal it from someone's locker? In the locker?
No, it was
Oh.
clearly, we forgot to film
Yeah.
a scene. We should film this one right now. Oh, wait, we forgot what she was wearing the night before. Uh-oh. Nobody will notice except for, 40 years later on a podcast. So then
Do you like this whole thing? Like, so Greg is a little jealous, and they're going to get all in this like Volkswagen Bug, and the line is they're going to go eat organic tuna burgers.
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't know that organic was so huge in the 70s. This is like the second or third time it's been brought
we
up.
just did a movie from 1959 where they're talking about organic food, and we're like,
Oh, wow.
what the fuck?
Yeah. And then we never get to see them eat this burger or where it's from or anything like that, because then it goes right into like the first date montage.
Okay.
Yeah. Double date.
Karen gets into the car, so Claudia gets in the car, pulls out like, I don't know, $3.
I thought it was 10, so it was like $30.
And she's like, I just got paid. And everybody's like, let's go spend all your money. And they go on some bizarre runtime.
Wholesome fun.
Yeah.
Holy
Wholesome.
shit, did they look, bring that camera in that backpack. We're going to go film at this park I know about. First of all, I've never seen this first thing. You can play ping pong in a cage?
I bet that was a batting cage that they put a ping pong table in
This
to do
looks
that
like
scene.
a cage at the zoo
Yeah.
that you can apparently go in and play ping pong in.
Which I guess makes sense if you're going to play. Because the thing about ping pong is no one wants to chase the goddamn ball when it goes.
Yeah.
And they were good. They were good. Like, they played ping pong before.
Yeah, well, it looks like they're playing ping pong in like the Hell in the Cell.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all playing ping pong. We watched this for a couple minutes, and I'm just like, somebody was like, it's only 70 minutes. We gotta pad this bitch, all right?
I'm making bet it's because they couldn't get her, Karen, into the batting cage. Like, her contract probably didn't allow it. 'Cause
She took a ball to the face.
yeah.
Well,
Heyo.
so then we go to like watching them play miniature golf for a while in very stolen footage.
Right.
Yeah, because there's only one setup.
All right, don't
It's
bring
like
a tripod.
one angle.
It's very shaky, and it's like, run! And so then we see, now this is something, it's a, quote, tattoo while you wait shack?
Yeah.
What are you waiting for?
Like, this is another thing, you're waiting for your gas.
Yeah, you're waiting for your gas.
Like, they went to go get gas, and they're like, tattoos while you wait, sir. Why don't you come over and make a life decision?
Pick it out of a book.
Yeah, mistakes are made while gas is filled.
The gas crisis was a dangerous time for America.
A lot of mistakes were made, tattoos were gotten.
I do like that scene when Claudia gets the tattoo is like how unsanitary it looks. Like the tattoo guy's not wearing gloves.
Also,
he's shirtless, which is also awesome.
Okay.
Also, it looks real.
I would
Yeah.
like to point out that this is another thing where, like, Claudia Jennings goes through this whole movie screaming every line. Like,
Right.
I don't know if it's, like I said, in Gator Bait, she's totally different. But apparently in 1972, she thought acting was you gotta project. Because holy shit, she spends the whole movie just screaming at everybody. And this scene, she's like, I want a tattoo!
Well,
and
you
everybody's
have to-
like, okay, calm down. The boom mic's right there. Like,
No, but it's far away. I got to scream to it because there's no way it can hear me.
she looks up at the sky, I gotta get a tattoo!
I also like the cultural issues at play with that scene where Donna's like, "Don't get a tattoo," because
like-
her life would be over.
Yeah,
if,
he's like,
if she
"You're-"
got a tattoo,
especially where she gets it.
Yeah.
He's like, you'll never get a real job again. She's like, no, this is it for me. If I don't make it as a roller derby person, I'm either going to jail, prison, or I'm just gonna fucking drive my car off a cliff.
I thought it was a weird placement for that tattoo.
It is a weird placement, but I'd also like that she's only been doing it for she's played one game, and she's ready to get the tattoo. That
And
is
everybody
very
hates her.
Roller derby.
Everybody hates her. Not only she get it for roller derby, it's their logo.
Yeah, she better hope she doesn't get traded to San Diego Demons or the Fresno F words.
The Fresno. What a name for a team.
The Fresno Fairies?
Yeah. So she gets this tattoo right on her forearm, right? Like right on the front of her.
Yeah, I've never seen anyone get a solo tattoo before.
No, never. Right there.
Like very weird. It's like the end of a sleeve tattoo.
Yeah.
Like literally cannot see it if you were trying to look at it.
So all you listeners at home, bend your elbow to touch your shoulder, and then look directly up from your elbow and kind of halfway up your forearm. That's where the tattoo is.
And it's like not even joking, it takes up half her forearm. It's huge, this tattoo. It's not small. It's pretty big. And she gets it on a whim in a dirty hut with a man with no shirt on and no gloves. Not even, barely any tools. He's just like, yeah, whatever. I do this all day.
Dirty hut.
While you
That's a
wait.
great way to describe it.
And everybody's telling her not to get one. And at one point, Donna's like, Greg, you should get a tattoo for me. Put a big heart on your chest. And he's like, I couldn't do that for my work.
Work? I didn't understand that.
Oh, because he's a criminal. Like, he can't have any identifying features.
I thought that's what he was talking about, but then...
Yeah. It's like, you're still a criminal.
Yeah.
Like, was this the day in the 70s? They're like, all right, somebody's been stealing car parts. Go around and round up any guys that got tattoos on them or, that live in that neighborhood. So then we go, okay, now they're on a road trip. She's gotten her forearm tattoo, which now she does this pose where she puts her forearm up. I was trying to think of anybody that would pose like that. I can't think of anything where somebody does this.
It's like the kind of the up yours with the forearm thing.
Yeah,
the
there you
up yours
go.
of the
Like an up yours.
Italians.
Yeah. So we go, they're on a road trip. Now they're playing in San Diego, but they're not really in San Diego.
Yeah.
They're in the same location they always are.
And the bus says Muncie on it, which is weird.
Muncie?
Yeah, for the destination it says Muncie. I was like, oh, it's okay, they're going on the road. I'm like, oh, they're driving an hour south.
They're driving to Indiana.
They're going, an hour south to San Diego. Okay, so they're at the road trip game. During the game, the pervert comes up and attacks Mickey because it's now Mickey's on the downswing. So she's supposed to be the big star. We barely know this, but the announcers are like, he's never attacked her before. He's never got her. Oh, he got her. And the pervert crotch thrusts into her and brings her down. And she's all hurt now. Then we cut up to the box and the owner's saying, he's like, hey, Mickey doesn't sell tickets anymore. Tell them to stop pushing this Claudia girl. And then Claudia comes up and beats the pervert up. And now she's the star is basically what happens.
Because she came and saved her teammate.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm explaining sounds quick, but this is about 10 minutes of movie. It's very long of just nothing going on for a while.
And the announcers all the time are talking over this of what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is Karen's debut or something. But I'm like, didn't she debut?
I think it's her debut in San Diego or her debut
yeah.
as the lead.
It doesn't
as,
really
the main
matter.
jammer. Yeah. But also it's a weird, lots of shots of people skating around a circle and the owner being like, oh, we got to push Karen, tell the announcers, which he has a funny name that he calls the announcers, but I can't, the Voice of America or something like that.
Tell the Voice of
Tell
America.
the Voice of America.
It's NPR.
And then immediately,
games are broadcast on NPR.
this is Terry Gross for the roller derby.
Oh, that one just took a hit.
Basically, it all ends. They're on the bus ride home, and both the teams are on the bus, and this is...
So Karen's at the back of the bus hanging out when Nick walks back and introduces Karen to his wife, Tina. Why Tina is now on this bus, why Tina has never been mentioned or introduced before.
She live in San Diego?
Yeah, this additionally, and she's just riding up for the weekend. But of course, Karen is a dick to Tina.
Well, I was like, I guess she has a right to be a dick if she didn't know he was married,
But not to Tina.
it
Right. It's not
sounds
Tina's
like
fault.
she did know he was married.
No, didn't she say I didn't know that Nick was married? Right after
No,
that scene?
another lady
Oh.
says to
Oh, that's right.
Claudia, she goes, I didn't know Nick was married, and she's like, "Rah, rah, rah, rah." Like she knew. She's just mean to everybody.
I swear there's an hour missing in this movie of all the stuff that we can fill in.
Yeah, the guy's story. Cut it all out.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see it.
Because there's a part where she says Tina's cheating on her husband.
Yeah, that whole thing, it's like, what? What are you talking about?
Like, the characters are supposed to react like and be surprised, not us.
There's another thing, like, okay, by the way, this scene is bookended by the female coach telling a bunch of vaudevillian jokes that I didn't even write down because they're just like, you know, something about a guy fucking standing up in a boat.
And what about fucking a dog for money or something?
Yeah, and by the way, like, all of a sudden there's a dog on her lap during that joke. Which,
wait, what?
Yes, there's a part, like, for no reason at all. You've never seen this dog before, but all of a sudden there's like a terrier on her lap while she's telling the guy fucking a dog joke. And you're like, okay. It'd be funnier if there's a dog. Like she was told a joke about that dog.
About that dog, who is a talking dog. I think I remember the first joke she tells. Something about a guy going to the doctor with back problems, and it's because of the position of him and his wife having sex from behind. And the punchline is, well, how are we both supposed to watch TV?
Gee, I didn't even hear that. I remember the canoe one.
Yeah, I remember it ending with something like he was fucking standing up in a canoe.
Yeah,
and I was like, what?
These are all 1970s dirty joke book jokes.
Like some sort of red skeleton joke or something. I don't know.
Red skeleton?
Red skeleton.
Yeah.
As opposed to the
red
blue
skeleton.
skeleton.
This is like jokes Dean Martin would tell on stage, you know? He's like, and then I fucked her in a boat. Go tip your bartender.
Have you ever watched those old Dean Martin, like,
just
comedy?
The parts that they show on the infomercial.
Yeah, like the
DVD.
With, what's his name? Who's the black guy that was part of the Rat Pack?
Sammy Davis.
Sammy Davis Jr. Oh, my God. That's some racist stuff.
Sammy, it's all right. We're friends.
They call him boy and stuff. Like, it's
man.
I have to find it. I saw
and
it.
Sammy's just standing back there going, you motherfuckers, you motherfuckers.
It's like, I got a hot white wife.
That would be terrible.
Oh, I have to show you. It was I watched. It was like 10 minutes long. I'm like, this was entertainment.
Like Dino telling black jokes.
It was
like,
three.
That's terrible.
It was three of the Rat Pack going after Sammy Davis for like 10 minutes. Not a roast or anything. They're all on stage.
Not even a roast. They're just like, all right, guys. Hey, everybody. Now here's the part of the show where we lay into the black guy.
It's funny because we're friends, or because you're racist.
That's what they said.
That's what they go. We have a lot of black friends, aka Sammy. Also, this part where Mickey. This is bizarre. Some lady comes up to her and she's like, "Can I have a piece of gum?" And Mickey goes, "Here, take the whole pack." And then, by the way, Mickey has like a really deep voice. She's like, "Take the whole pack." And then the girl leaves and she looks over at the Grindbin All-Star lady from Jennifer, I think is her name. She barely, the blonde lady from the roommates. She looks over at her and she goes, she's always trying to fix something, right? First now it's her breath. It used to be something else.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's why guys won't ball her.
Yeah, she goes, first it was her armpits, now it's her breath. She doesn't understand why nobody will ball her.
Oh, and this is, I forgot to mention this, that the actress who gets the gum, who no one wants to ball, I think might be the same actress as the checkout girl at the grocery store. Or they just have really similar haircuts.
They just brought her back.
Like weird,
They're
blonde,
really bad,
short,
pixie, shredded head.
But then she also says, she goes, truth is, she's the lousiest ball on the bus. And I just write, what? What is this? Like, what does that have to do with anything?
I'm really confused if are we supposed to know that Mickey is a lesbian and that like there are lots of lesbians on the team? Or is it Karen being crazy and being a narcissist thinking everyone wants to fuck her?
I don't know. They kind of like go back and forth with that.
I feel like that scene is supposed to establish that, oh, Mickey is a lesbian and, she fucked the smelly blonde girl and maybe other skaters on the team. So again, really gay, totally legit roller derby.
But Jennifer just looks at her just kind of like, yeah, that's great, Mickey.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't care about any of this. And then she's just like, what about this fucking Claudia bitch? And Jennifer's just like, yeah, that's tough, And she's like, you don't understand. We're on top. Mickey's like, we're on top. And she's like, yeah, I don't think so.
4 years ago, we tried to get pushed out. Another 4 years, we'll be fine.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
Like, you realize that's 8 years plus. It's a lot of time.
We leave the bus. We're back at Claudia's house. And now, like, people are delivering a bunch of stuff to their house. And, like, a commercial comes on TV with her and Jennifer, and they're like promoting the rocket chair, which is just like some sort of massage recliner, but it's just a recliner that Jennifer's shaking.
Yeah, she's very clearly like using her hips to like hit the chair and shake it while Claudia sits in it.
And they're just like, yeah, this is great. After a hard day of roller derbying, I come home, I sit in my chair, and I feel all better. And they're just like, yep, okay. And the weird thing is at the end of the commercial, it zooms in on Claudia's face, and she smiles, and then it just hangs on there for like another 10 seconds.
Yeah, and she like looks off camera like she's waiting for someone to call cut.
Yeah.
It just keeps going.
Keep going. It's live.
This ad is 30 seconds.
And cut. All these like moving guys are watching, like, oh, you're on TV, that's you. And she's like, yeah, well, shut the fuck up and move my stuff, get out of here.
That guy looked like Gomer Pyle.
Yeah.
So she's like a real dick to everybody.
Well, there is one guy who totally like undersells. He's like, yeah, congratulations on being on TV. Can you sign this?
Did you notice, by the way, there was a velvet painting of JFK in the background?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or was it a painting or was it a
blanket.
pillow?
It was a blanket.
So like a velvet, like some sort of weird stitch thing of JFK.
That is definitely a thing that I've seen at like antique malls.
I was like, wow, that is pretty awesome.
And there's like a garish like woodcut matador picture like by the door. I think we're supposed to see this as her spending all of her money.
Yeah,
on
she's
lavishly.
coming to money now.
Yeah.
And pretty much any like garish thing you could imagine is in here. You know, there's all sorts of velvet paintings and
It's kind of like the low budget version of the tour through Steve Martin's house and The Jerk after he becomes rich.
basically this ends with her roommates going like, we're gonna go open a topless bike repair shop in Oregon. And I write, Jesus Christ.
Do you think that's because he thinks he's going to jail or something here and he's leaving?
I thought there might be some of that, and also it might be that they're like, bitch be crazy.
But you're right. They're because they're like, we need to leave.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking because it's like criminal stuff. It's also like, well, that I mean, he's probably committed multiple federal crimes, but okay. But then he's like, yeah, we need to get out of this state. We need to go like now. And she's all, well, why can't you stay? Maybe because she's crazy or something.
Yeah, because that kind of became the lens of how I viewed everyone's interaction is like, they know she's crazy, they know she's trouble, and they're trying to get away from her. But I do feel like there's probably a scene that was meant to go like where she's extra crazy to them.
Right.
Because that would make narrative sense.
It's got to be like we're saying, stuff cut out of this movie.
Yeah.
Although we got to make room for ping pong and miniature golf. But this makes no sense. And he's just going on and on about how they got to leave the state and they want to open that topless bike repair shop. And Claudia's even like, what do you need? Money? You need money? Like offering to give them money so they'll stay here. She's like, do you need money to open your shop? I'm like, no, Claudia, don't invest in that.
I do always like that Greg looks like he's just about to say yes every time she offers money. And it's Don who's like, no. But he's like, oh, she's offering money.
Topless repair shop is the stupidest idea I've ever heard.
No.
Like, you got to wear overalls in a repair shop for a reason.
Do you think that's dumb, or how about a topless coffee shop?
That's
those
also
exist.
That's very stupid.
I had to explain that to my wife recently because we drove by a sign for one. She's like, what is that? Like, what is that? I was like, it's a, topless barista. She's like, why? I'm like, so perverts can get coffee? Like, that's it.
Like, that would be a terrible thing to make espresso if you're topless. Like, that would be literally the worst position you could be in to make coffee.
Yeah, so what's worse, hot oil or hot coffee?
Also weird because you'd expect that the mechanics who'd be working on the bikes are dudes. So what's the point of them being topless?
There's just, well, for the ladies.
All those lady motorcycle drivers.
So then they say, all right, they're like, we got to go because we need some sort of conflict in the movie. I don't know if you got the note, Claudia, but the movie needs to progress at some point. We're getting close to the end, and we actually have no conflict. No. So we need to figure something out. But then instead of anything, we get a 5-minute scene of Claudia going car shopping.
Yeah.
She wants a new car.
Which, by the way, so this is a cameo that the car salesman guy is. I didn't write down all the credits and everything, but he was always on the original Batman TV show and stuff. This guy has like 111 credits on IMDb, and he's just like this is supposed to be like, oh, it's him to everybody in the crowd, although we don't get it because we're just like, who the fuck?
Who's that
the
guy?
only thing I've seen is him wearing like some sort of genie hat on Batman. Like he's standing next to Adam West with like a genie hat on. Like he looks like the game from Big. Like the fortune teller
Zoltan?
guy. Yeah, he looks like Zoltan.
Oh, I was going to hope it was like King Tut or something.
Fun fact, you may want to edit this out, is that that car dealership is just down the street from here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's because you could see the sign. It's like the Jack Chill or whatever Chrysler.
Oh, okay.
I googled it, and it's the Chrysler dealership on brand.
Wow, I was just there the other day.
So you could,
Yeah,
you,
I'm gonna go get myself one of those blue cars with a heart on the hood and all this shit. So, because like, when they're buying the car. By the way, who's this lady with her?
It's her friend
That's
from
a
the
friend-
cat food factory.
Yeah, that's the cat food factory.
I was like, who the fuck
Consuela,
is this?
I think.
Yeah, it's some girl
Yeah?
named Consuela.
I think it is.
Her name
Okay.
is Consuela.
She is very stereotypical, like Latina.
Yeah, it was like, what's a name for Consuela? So she's here with Consuela.
who's
and-
really into chrome.
Yeah, this is...
Consuela just won't shut up about getting chrome on that car.
They're like looking like, okay, was there at any point in time where if you went to a car dealership, they're like, you don't get to look at the new cars unless you got money? Because they're outside looking at a used car, and she's like, I don't want this shit car. I want a new car. Let me inside and let me see the good ones. And he's just like, you got to have credit. It's like, well, I'm sorry, to even get in the car dealership, they're like, all right, what's your social?
Yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea how much a new car cost or
Yeah,
what the average yearly salary was.
I'm willing also to bet because it was two women. Like, this is only 1972.
Oh,
Like, there's probably a very strong, like, you need a man here to buy a car.
Yeah, it could have been something like that.
no lesbians allowed.
Yeah.
Got it.
So he also says, like, all right, well, what do you do for a job? Because she's like, I got credit all over town. I'm like, well, not
Which
good
is also a
credit.
weird line.
Yeah, I mean, people know who you are, but usually your signs on the front of doors going, don't let her back in. Like, she just goes, he's all, what do you do for a living? And she pulls out a program and just shows him a picture of her. And he's like, oh, I seen you on the TV. You're a big star. And then they go in and they're like, she's looking at this new car. And yeah, Consuela keeps saying, it needs to be chrome, more chrome. I want like Justin Bieber to drive this car. It needs to be chrome.
And
Chrome
and
all
he's
over,
like,
baby.
"Hey, we got the chrome package.
Yeah, so, like, were chrome packages a real thing?
He's telling them whatever they
chrome-
want to hear.
Chrome bumpers and chrome trim.
By the way, the car she ends up getting, which we kind of barely see, which is
Yeah, we
weird,
don't see it until, like, a half an hour
is
later in this
the
movie.
worst car.
Oh, it's Gaudy. It is like this baby blue. I think it's a Challenger
With,
with
like,
a
her-
zebra
Zebra top,
with a sunroof cut. in.
sunroof.
Like a like a 2-foot tall horse hood ornament.
Yeah.
Which is what the significance of that is, I don't know. And like her logo on the side,
Yeah, a
her
racing
name.
stripe with the Avenger logo, and then it says Karen's Little Monster.
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So then it immediately made me think of Suicide Squad with Daddy's Little Monster t-shirts, because I think it's the same font. It's that,
oh, there
I
you
don't
go.
know, baseball font. I don't know what it's called.
But boy, I kept writing in my notes, who the fuck is this lady with her? I didn't realize it was the cat food lady. Because I'm like, why are we introducing a new character now? But again, why are we introducing a character we haven't seen for an hour?
Yeah.
Like we got like 10 minutes left in this movie. What's going on?
Because Donna and Greg haven't left yet, right?
No, not yet.
So, like, why isn't it Donna?
Yeah, I don't get it. But then we go to a shooting range where Claudia's like, she's basically like the lady from Dinosaur Valley. Like, she has become the lady that's making fun of her husband the whole movie because she's like, you can't even shoot that gun. Hold it like a real man, and everything. She's like, you got nothing.
She really cucks him on
She
this
is.
scene.
She's
And Nick is into it.
she's calling him a snowflake and
Yeah.
everything while he's trying to shoot a gun. She's like, come on, snowflake. And he's like, all right, come on, I'm shooting my gun. And she's like, let me try. And he gives her the gun, and she starts shooting the target, and she's getting shots.
Yeah, and he like said something like, "Oh, that was just beginner's luck." So they reload, and she takes the gun back.
Well, while they're reloading, too, he's like telling her the rules of the range.
Oh, that's right.
Because he was like, all right, first of all, don't point a loaded gun at somebody. You keep doing that. I should tell you now that's not a good idea. He goes on and on about the rules. She takes the gun.
And then she starts shooting out the lights down the range
Yeah,
to
she's
show
like-
how good of a shot she is.
She's like, you think I fucking care about the rules? And she's shooting the lights.
But they guys are freaking out over these lights being. She's like, "You guys have to replace those." I'm like, "That has to cost you like 15 cents."
Also, though, you'd think the people that run the range would be like, okay, yeah. Also, this is not a range. This is a man's basement that they're shooting guns in.
Right,
Because
right.
This is,
and that's what it looks like when you first see, but then there's like a sign in the background that says like gun range. I'm like, oh, this is supposed to be a public
intern.
place?
Can you make a sign? She's shooting the lights, and then he's like, who's going to pay for that? She spins around with the loaded gun and points it right in his chest, like digs it deep into his chest, and then just starts like basically emasculating him.
Yeah, then she took it to his face, didn't she?
Yeah, and she goes, kiss me. And we cut.
Now back to the Derby.
there's another bout going on, right? Claudia's, they just say in voiceovers, she's like close to beating Mickey's record. And then the pervert comes and knocks her down. And basically what happens is like that they're turning on her. So they all like beat her up at this point. Mickey and the big lady from the Demons are beating her up. And then we hear over voiceover,
My God! My God!
oh God, my
Not
God!
like this!
You son of a bitch!
Yeah, so Mickey starts beating up Karen, Claudia, and then calls over for help, and then the big girl from the Demons comes over, and they talk about how, like, she's called over a person from the opposing team to help her. This is unprecedented. And I've just been handed a folder from the management. It says top secret, but I'm going to read it anyway. Mickey's been traded effective immediately to the Demons.
It was like, okay, in the middle of a bout, she's traded to
gone.
the other team.
So because they established the rules earlier of like making sure everyone's in on it, I was like, oh, is this supposed to be a work and not real? But no, then it's everything is real in the game at this point.
You know, those front offices, they're brutal. You
Yeah.
know? They got a whole front office team for each of these teams. You know, the general managers have been negotiating this trade for a while. What do they get in return? Nothing. they just said, they're like, oh, now she's a bad guy, everybody. Okay, great. The boss and the assistant talk. They're like, hey, bring up that new lady from Fresno. We need a new number 2. And it's like, okay. Then we go in the locker room. Now this scene gets very problematic. First problematic thing. Claudia is signing an autograph from a child in the locker room. Like in her bra and everything. She's like, here you go, kid.
That's a
like it's
lucky
like
kid.
Mean Joe, you know, and that. But
Here's my bra.
Yeah, here's my bra. But she gives this kid his program. And I'm like, they just let not only fans in the locker room, but children.
Yeah.
And so
Like there's like a kid just waiting. He's like, can I have your autograph?
Thanks, Karen. And so she hands him the program, and then he hands her a bag of marshmallows or something. It's like white puffy things in a bag.
That's her fee.
Yeah, she loves marshmallows.
She can't go to any more grocery stores in the
She's
city.
cut
She
off.
just asked for groceries for exchange.
There's a bag of marshmallows and graham crackers and chocolate. Karen loves s'mores.
I was thinking at one point there's going to be people chasing her with a big net, you know, like in those old movies trying to catch
In white
a
coats.
metal hospital person. Do you think those nets ever work?
I would have loved to have seen her in like Terminator 2 when they're going through the mental hospital and you see her with her skates drawn up all over the wall.
She's like across from Linda Hamilton. Oh my God! If only what's his the T? What is it? T-1000.
Yeah.
If he became Karen, the ultimate weapon.
Just yells, "Have you seen this boy?"
Like instead of Terminator 3, like the female Terminator's Karen, then people would be like, "Oh no!"
It just skates after John. He's on his little motorbike.
Okay, so basically, Evel Knievel comes into the locker room and he's like, "Hey, let's have some sex," and she's like, "No, I'm a big star now," and they get into this big fight, right? And he's kind of like not taking no for an answer.
Well, he says you're not a star when you get those skates off. You're just a regular person.
Yeah, he's really like, also he's kind of like borderline trying to rape her, which is not cool. It's like, yeah, dude, just because you did it once doesn't mean it's an open door. Like,
Oh well, the last time we saw them be close and intimate, she had a gun on him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
So
kind of
I
raped
feel like
him.
maybe there's a
oh yeah, well the last thing we saw they were kissing.
yeah.
Now all of a sudden she's all mad at him, right? She's very bipolar.
It's also weird that for a movie that had so much ADR, this scene clearly was recorded live in a locker room that's echoey as shit, and you can barely understand what they're talking about.
Yeah, but the gist of it is like he's like, hey, you know, you need to calm down a little bit. You're not a big star, and she's like going on and on. She's
Shut
like,
up, Nick. You got a small dick.
Yeah, she's like, you got a small.
And you know
dick."
what? Your dick is so small it can't take care of your wife. That's why every man on this team has to.
And then he crosses the line by slapping her in the face, and it's like, oh boy. So then we get this, that little nugget in the last 10 minutes of this movie that his wife's fucking the man team.
Yeah, the men teams. Yeah.
It's like, okay, we've never heard this. And then,
But is it true, or is Karen just so crazy she's just making shit up?
well, actually, he kept going around saying 3's all right with me. But like, yeah, he's basically.
And I don't like it, but the part that sticks out is when after he slaps her, she says he even fights like a girl.
Yeah.
And then he wheels back to punch her, and we get a great POV shot, but then he does
Yeah, he grabs her by the throat and is about to punch her. I'm like, okay. And then she knees him in the balls.
Yeah.
And then he says something like, oh, you don't understand how much that hurt if you just only had a pair of balls. And she says, honey, I got balls. Yours.
Boom.
Boom.
End of scene. Then we go to another commercial. So we follow that up with a commercial for Zap pens.
Did you understand this?
Yeah.
So the commercial was that they tape a pen onto the back of the skate, and she rides around Hollywood Boulevard with it, and is like, look, see, it still writes.
That's what they were doing. So they had it like, so she would like heel stop, and then it would draw on the ground, and then at the end, it was still writing.
Yeah.
And
God,
then we
I
had
did
to
not get
see
that.
a bizarre 15-second shot of her spelling Zap with a skate. She's like, Z-A-P, Zappins. See, they can still write on the sidewalk. Hey.
And then also reiterated it like, and remember, that's Zap pens. So I'm like, were Zap pens a real thing?
I don't know. And then the other thing is, we have a scene after this of her sitting on her couch with like curlers on, and she just flips off the TV real quick. I'm like, we set up that whole shot just for literally, it's done. Okay.
This is her becoming disenchanted with fame.
Then we go see the roommates, right? These useless degenerates, they're going to leave town, okay? Finally. The cops are closing in on that ring, and they need to go. And so then she's like, okay, Claudia's like, can't you stay? I'll give you all the money. You can do this. You can do that. Greg takes money.
Yeah, she
before
gives
they
him a
go.
huge wad.
And they're gone. So that will never be resolved. Nothing will happen of that. They're gone, okay?
And what vehicle do they leave in? A Chevy van.
Ooh.
I did not notice that. So then we go to the track before the show, okay? And the boss like greets the new girl from Fresno, Beverly, right? And she's like, I'm really excited to be an Avenger. And he's like, don't worry, you're gonna be this new star around here soon enough. You'll take out that other bitch, you'll be number one. She's like, everybody starts as a number two. They all start at the Fresno F words, and then they come over here and they become real stars. And then he says something about how we're gonna go on a European tour and all this stuff.
Yeah,
I'm
and
like,
he needs to
what?
find the new star for the European tour and gives her the one-up look.
It's like you already have a star. She's on, like, Karen's on every fucking poster. People are like going crazy for her. She's the freaking Hulk Hogan of roller derby, and he's like, we got to get this girl out of here. Am I right? I hate printing money. And then we go to the game, right? So the bout's going on, and like Evil, there's just some dumb part where Evil tries to hit on Claudia and she's not interested, and then Beverly's doing all good and Claudia's getting pissed, and then Mickey attacks Claudia. They get in a big fight, and they say there will be a match race between Claudia and Mickey after the bout. Then we go to the match race, which is just basically her and Mickey beating each other up for a few minutes, and then Claudia eventually knocks her off the track. Okay, what I see is like the highest part of the track.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Like on the embankment, she knocks her off, and the announcers say something like she landed on the corner of the bleachers.
Yeah.
And then the crowd just starts like basically curb stomping this lady, and then they all like back away.
Yeah, cops pull like the crowd off of her.
And she's like, from what I see, dead.
She looks dead. Like, she looks dead.
And then like you just see the doctor is like, yep, call it. What's the time? Somebody write down the time. The coroner,
Very much the Gershon when she fell down the stairs.
the coroner likes it when you call the time of death before he gets here. Saves him a few bucks, you know. Basically, Mickey's like done. We'll never see her again. Never.
We will hear about her.
Yeah.
They'll say she's in the hospital later and stuff, but like I'm almost wondering if like the original intent was that she died.
Like it's G.I. Joe the movie, and Duke was supposed to die, and then they do the voiceover at the end like, he's going to be okay.
Yeah, because you'll never see her again. You'll just hear about it in voiceover. The boss and the assistant give Claudia a trophy, which is literally the worst trophy I've ever seen in my life.
What is it? Is a skate with like a clock glued on it and then painted gold?
And an
and there's like
eagle on top of the skate. Like like a eagle, like a bald eagle. Like basically you took another trophy and they're like, can you take that eagle and put it on a skate? Also
There's
put
like
a clock in there. It's
Like
classy.
a letter opener also on there.
It's like just a mess of a trophy. And this is so weird how in-depth this trophy gets, because this literally means nothing. He hands her like a shitty thing like you'd get at work, like thanks for working here for a year type thing, back when, you know, companies would care about employees.
Yeah.
It's like in Christmas Story when he gets that lamp. It's like
It's a major award.
Add a clock to it, though. It makes it classy. You know, then it has a use because you can
Right.
put it on a mantle. You can tell your time. He tells Claudia, he's like, "Why don't you go off sign some autographs?" Eh? And he says something to her about how she. It's just like, and then follow the rules or something like that.
Or the
Oh,
game
yeah,
plan.
the game plan.
Then
She's gone. He's talking to the son-in-law. He goes, "How many of these we have left?" He's like, "We got 2." He goes, "Order 10 more."
not only that, he goes, "Order 10 more." Then tell him I'm gonna fly to Detroit, and while I'm there, I want to get those 10 and then bring them back. I'm like, okay, whoa. We don't have enough time to find a character, but we have enough time to go on a fucking aside about like a trophy, some shit trophy that like doesn't make any sense. This is no point to the plot or anything. It's just like. But that trophy stuff is gold, by the way. Keep that in the movie, but cut out all that extra exposition. Nobody cares. Then we cut outside, and like basically the other girls have had enough of Claudia.
Yeah, they're done. They watched her beat up their friend.
But the stuff about the trophy's not over because Jennifer looks at it and she goes, "Oh, she got one of those trophies." Well, some other girl goes, "Oh, she got one of those trophies," and Jennifer goes, "Everyone's got one." Like, what does this serve? And then they all beat her up.
They beat the shit out of her. Yeah. They tear off her antenna on her new car. They scratch it down the side, which kind of hurt. And then they just like beat her and leave her there.
And that's the first time we see the car. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah, we hadn't seen the car until that moment.
So you'd think like, you know, in like Boogie Nights, for example, when they kick the shit out of Mark Wahlberg and like that's his low point as his character, you think like, okay, this is it. This is when she's going to turn her life around. She's going to go back to Burt Reynolds' house and be like, "I was wrong. You know, please take me back. I'm sick of giving hand jobs in cars." No.
Nope. This is where this is the final straw. This is every little bit of mind control she had left, and she's completely lost it.
She gets in her car, slams in reverse, and slams into their car so they can't even like open their door. Then pulls out, and we're gonna see. We're
gonna see Karen's war on boxes and cans stacked.
Yeah, which is like very scary to think that this is how Claudia Jennings eventually died. Was like crashing her car on Malibu, and I'm like, oh boy, this is a little uncomfortable because we're gonna see her go insane in this car. And she's like, she almost hits a homeless man, like trying to
drink out of a garbage can, takes a bottle out of a garbage can.
She's like, his life's not bad enough. I'm gonna go mess with a homeless man, and she like almost hits him, and then yeah, a lot of like so.
There's one good bit of continuity where I think the gas station or like a service station that she drives through and destroys was one earlier in the movie that she shot at the sign. So it's like, oh, okay, they're establishing.
Oh yeah,
like,
she was back.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay, that's where she is.
This is so amazing. It's so like a movie trope. There's a guy in a van with all these boxes piled up in a pyramid, and then she hits them. And then she goes and hits oil cans that are like shaped like a pyramid, like just wherever she can find. Like she's just cruising around looking for stuntman props, you know. And by the way, in the gas station, she comes back around and almost kills a guy.
Yeah.
Because there's a guy who's like legit scared in a shot. Like, I don't know if this stuntman's gonna hit me. I don't know what he's doing, and he runs. And they've included that in the movie. We go to this. Oh my gosh, guys! There's like 5 minutes left in this movie. Let's add a new subplot.
Yeah, let's add like a new character and new like weirdness to this movie.
So we go to a motel somewhere where we don't know where we are.
Somewhere drivable from LA.
We figure like we're kind of in the middle of nowhere, but she just pulls up to this motel and she goes up and she goes, "Mom," to this lady, and she goes, "Mom, I brought you some money." And she's like, "I don't need any money.
I got my cigarettes. I got my TV. What else do I need?"
Yeah, by the way, she's watching TV outside, which is amazing.
It's probably hot as shit in that hotel room.
And that actress is like, you know her when you see her.
This
She's
is another
like,
cameo thing, like, ah! And then some guy pulls up who...
Dwayne Dealer.
This is the stupidest thing in the movie yet. A guy pulls up and, like, they couldn't afford a cast, so they just have him. They're like, all right, for some reason, this guy's got to be, like, gimpy in the arm.
Yeah, I thought he had a dead arm.
He's just has his arm, like, put up on his chest. And there's a part where Claudia Jennings, like, picks up a basketball. She's like, "You play anymore?" And he's like, my arm. And I'm like, I just thought at first, like, he just didn't want to put it down. Like, he was just like, I'm just going to leave it here. It's more comfortable when I leave my arm up by my face. But apparently he has like a dead arm or something.
There's a whole story. He has a whole rich life.
And then we go on. She's like, "Oh, how you doing?" Like my good friend. And he's like, "Oh, I got married." She's like, "Oh, to who?" And we
And to this lady, and we should go hang out and have a dinner. And
Well, he says, like, when he says who he got married to, like, he says, like, he says her name, but then puts his hand, like, low, like he's doing a height.
not his dead hand.
No, not his dead hand, his live
The
hand.
good hand.
But, like, he gestures, like, really low, like you would, like, when you're saying, like, a kid is, a kid's, like, about this tall. And it's, like, really low, like, it was a kid. Like, he married a child.
Yeah, you know
or
that
the last
girl?
time, or he married, like, someone much younger than him. And, like, the last time Karen would have seen this girl, she was really young. It's a weird scene. That guy looks like Andy Kaufman and Giovanni Ribisi, like, mashed together.
yeah,
And then he just goes, "Oh yeah, you should come over for dinner. We should all hang out. Like we should really hang out." And the mom's like, "Yeah, why don't we all come inside? We'll have a drink." And then she goes, "No, guys, I need to go. Thanks for nothing. Goodbye." And then drives away. And we're like,
this was no reason.
No.
there is 3 minutes left in this movie. What are we doing?
In, like, a well-written movie, like, that scene happens at the start of the third act, and that's the change for the character.
Yeah,
She's returning
like
to
I
her
said, the Mark
roots.
Wahlberg part.
Yeah,
where
and
she
there's,
goes
like-
back and says, "I was wrong."
Yeah. But no, in this movie,
We then just go to about basically they've turned, like they're gonna destroy her, so they're doing everything they can to kick her out of the game and make Beverly the new star. Claudia just fucking goes wild.
yeah, she, like, reaches a point where she just flips out. And I can't remember if there was actually ever a real trigger.
Well, okay, there is a part where they all start turning on her, even her own team, and like Beverly pushes her over, and then Beverly tries to take the helmet from her, and she smashes her in the gut.
Oh, that's right. And they say, like, she's permanently injured Beverly and she's out.
yeah, by
Like,
just like
the
kinda-
exposition announcers say, like, Beverly's done.
It's
She
like
can't skate anymore.
Like for some reason, she gave her an abortion, but she didn't have the kid. You know,
Right.
like it's like, oh, it's a pre-kid abortion. Her uterus is done. She just hits her in the abdomen. She's like, oh, I'm dead. And then Claudia just kind of goes around and she's beating everybody up, like literally everybody. And this is when like the masked pervert man gets a chair shot on
Oh
her.
yeah, she crashes into the penalty box.
Yeah.
And then the pervert man uses the chair to smash the penalty box on top of Claudia.
And that's when Nick comes and saves her, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but then she just starts beating everybody up and then goes into the crowd and starts beating people up. And then they say over the announcing that she's fired.
No,
or
she got
something.
traded to the demons.
Oh yeah.
And then the like basically Triple H says to Vince, he's like, "But she's the best skater we have. Like we shouldn't get rid of her." And then he's like, "It's all show. It's all for show. She's gonna go out on top, boy." And then she just goes outside and like she's like fucking around with people. She messes with a giant man in a tiny car, which
Yeah.
is a bizarre, like it's like a Simpsons joke.
Is that the guy that she threw under the car?
No, she
No,
just
that's a different guy.
she
Yeah.
just like. Oh yeah, when she comes out, she almost kills a black man by pushing him in front of a car.
Yeah.
Which was,
I don't think they meant that.
I was like, what is going on right now? And then she goes and like starts hitting the hood of a tiny car with a really tall man in it, and he comes out and like chases her around the car for a second, and then she's hitting hoods. A car almost hits her, and then a car does hit her. She just gets up, does her forearm
I'm a
move,
winner.
and then the movie ends by
It's circle fades or whatever you call that, like
Yeah.
on her tattoo, and then the credits start running.
and you're like, huh?
Yeah, there's the movie.
Yep.
They were like, well, we forgot to write the end, so goodbye. Thanks for nothing, everybody.
Hope you enjoyed this descent into madness.
Hope you enjoyed that ping pong scene, the miniature golf, her meeting her mother. She met her mother. I mean, what else do they want, these fucking critics? You
That
know what
gave
I
it
mean?
heart.
There's heart in this movie. There's everything. There's sex. There's heart. There's violence. What more do they want?
More
conclusion?
Story.
You know
Yeah.
what I always hate in a movie is when I'm like, ugh, all right, I know how it's going to end. Just end it. You know? This is my new style. You just end
How
the movie.
does Showgirls end?
Same fucking way.
The way it started. And she gets into a car with the guy that she hitchhiked with before that she pulled a knife on. And he's like, oh, shit, not you. And
that's it. She just leaves. Like, she beats... Okay, yeah, it ends exactly the same way. She beats up a guy, right? I think it's Buffalo Bill, by the way. She beats up Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs. She kicks his ass, and then she just gets in a car and leaves.
Do you think Paul Verhoeven? No.
Well,
Who wrote-
these are all both based on All About Eve. which is basically what Showgirls was a remake of All About Eve, but with sexy dancing ladies. And Joe Esterhaus was just doing a lot
Joe
of...
Esterhaus, that's right.
Just apparently he wrote that script while he was on vacation, smoking a ton of weed in like a cabin in Hawaii, and he's like, "This would be great."
That's what we find. A lot of people that say that when their movie sucks is that they're, I was really high when I did this.
Yeah, I think a lot of people they're like, "Oh yeah, we were all high." It's all that Scorsese guy's fault, the movie was great until he started re-editing it.
He just decided to stop editing, and that was the end of the movie.
Because that's what Scorsese wants is like short format film.
Yeah, where do you think he got the idea for Raging Bull? It was all Unholy Rollers. He's like, I should make this movie good. Yeah, you missed the whole scene. They cut out the end because Scorsese was like, I want to use this. Claudia went on to like own a nightclub and she got really fat, and she was like kind of going on stage. She'd be like, I used to be great. I'll tell you, heavyweight champion of the world.
Claudia buys the casino strip club. Band venue from earlier in the movie.
Yeah, and then she goes to jail for having sex with an underage girl.
And then you know who buys that club? Dolomite.
That's always the worst part in Raging Bull is when he goes to jail and he shows the fucking cops the picture. He's like, tell me you wouldn't do it. Tell me. Like, yeah, that's, you might want to save that for the judge, man. This is all admissible as evidence, right? Like, everything that you're saying to us right now. Here's where we get to it. Recommendations?
I would recommend it because I think it's a neat... I just fast forward through parts of it, but overall, I would recommend it.
It's an entertaining movie. It's definitely one of the Corman quick movies. Like, it was definitely filmed in a month. I recommend it. I'd say it's definitely worth going to see a screening of because seeing it in the theater is probably really fun, especially if people are into it. Especially with the roller derby stuff. Because watching it by yourself is just not as fun.
I would agree with that. If you're going to see it in the theater, see it in the theater. Don't buy the DVD and go watch it at home because you're going to be confused unless there's a commentary track that talks over any of this stuff.
Maybe.
Well, this does come in a 4 DVD set with B-Girls, Vicious Lips, Devil's 8, and Unholy Rollers.
Yeah, so there's no commentary on that.
No.
But it's weird because, the director and co-writer is alive and active.
Well, this was his first movie. I mean, they were like, you got 2 days. Son, can you get me a script? How many pages? Whatever.
Because this movie kind of doesn't follow what exploitation films were. They're made for the drive-in movie theaters for you to not have to really watch. You can go and have sex and stuff. This movie would be so bizarre that I could not watch it if it was on.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's not sexy.
No, that's like the worst part about having Claudia Jennings in it. Like when you see her nude, you are not enjoying what's happening.
No, it's like she was almost raped in one part. Like people tore her clothes
off. And there's one part where someone grabs her pussy or her vagina. I forgot which scene it's in, but it's off camera, but like the person reaches out of frame and clearly grabs her.
He does the full Trump. That's how they did it in the 70s,
That's how they say hello.
Did you guys hear that sound, though? Well, let's start with you, Michael. How do you think Bobby and DeVito fit in this one?
Well, we did see occasionally during the roller derby bouts that there were referees. And they actually named them, too. Like, one was Little Primo, and the other was, like,
Little
Frank.
Primo.
Yeah, I was like, oh. And since Little Primo was a short man, appearing to be maybe Italian, I'm going to go that maybe that was DeVito. And the other referee, who did have, it wasn't red hair, but it was like shaggy black hair. But we'll say maybe Bobby found a can of grease. And they found a legitimate way to run around and blow whistles at women and grab them and pull them off of each other.
I think that kind of like that, but at some point, Bobby and DeVito went to the roller derby and they saw that masked pervert. And Bobby's like, that DeVito, I know what I want to do with my life. Like, he was just like, DeVito, you know how, like, I'm just kind of bumming around with the van and everything? I found my purpose in life. I want to be that pervert. Because then you get to go on the track and touch the girls.
I thought DeVito would fit more into the coach. Give him a clipboard and let him get angry.
Well, that's what he was watching. He goes, Bobby, it's always been my dream to fake beat up women. And I can do it for a living. So let's go work in Derby. Come on, girls, the new tryout.
We're forming a new team.
Who's into studs?
To the Los Angeles Vans.
The LA Vans. Oh, well, thanks again for joining us on another episode of The Bin. Michael, you got anything to plug?
And you can visit my personal website, buymichaeltanner.com, where you can read my funny musings, short stories, and links to where to buy my comic books.
Thank you.
There you go.
And the Kickstarter went well that you promoted on this podcast.
Oh, it did,
earlier.
yeah. The Kickstarter for Monsters and Other Scary Shit went well. The books are on their way from China as we speak.
Falling off a rickshaw soon.
Yeah.
There, we take credit for that, right? Successful Kickstarter being promoted on ours.
No, he came on to the show after the Kickstarter was already
Oh, yeah.
funded.
There's like a week left. I'm like, hey, stretch goals?
Yeah.
You can do stretch goals.
I think they made a stretch goal.
Yeah, it does have the glow-in-the-dark cover.
It made it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Before the show, it didn't have it. There you
That
go.
pushed it over.
One Grindbin listener was like, "Oh, I'll get the big one." Hughes?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, me too. All right. Well, you can find us grindhousefilm.com, Twitter, we're at GrindPod, Facebook, the Grindbin Podcast. We're on Instagram. Leave us some comments. Oh, you can email me at grindbin@gmail.com. We love those death threats. Thank you very much.
Bobby, blow the whistle.
Hey, Bobby, I got the money. Yeah, I made the team. But you're a hooker.
Get that goddamn thing out of your mouth.
Spooky ain't got no real poetry.
Hello, pizza man.
We're gonna play a little game, baby.
I just love fun and games. Get a little girl all hot and horny.
You could have been decent once in a while. And maybe Daddy would decide to kill himself because he couldn't get it up anymore.
What a shame.
Come on, just step on the gas before we get creepy.